now in the green room. All right, friends. Here we are. Let me unmute myself. We have our guest here. Greg, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, buddy. I'm doing really well. Thank you very much for having me this evening.
It's great to have you here, man. So, I want to start out a little bit with telling me who you are, what you're about, and what your plan is for the future of music, man.
Yeah, well, that's some heavy questions. I'm
We'll get to them all.
well, I'm a musician and producer. Like I do a bunch of other art as well too, like visual and video, and multi instrumentalist. So my name's Greg Arcade. Hi, everybody. I play all the instruments on my tracks generally, unless it's featured guest. I also mix and produce all my music, do the art. I started out kind of as a idiot public school Canadian kid who eventually broke away from being in that kind of leftist system, and now just kind of value, I guess, just freedom of thought, freedom of expression, and creating good tunes that people I care about, if that makes sense. I don't have delusions of grandeur. I'm not trying to make it huge. I just want to make songs for good people who I think deserve them, and also let me know that they're appreciative of them. So it's kind of where I'm at with my music at this point.
That's awesome, man. Well, it seems you are a little bit of a outlaw country guy, aren't you?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
This is the new outlaw, man. Just being able to speak your mind.
I think so. And it's funny because country music, like I don't even know if I fit into country music all that much. I don't sell truck loans in my music. I don't do that kind of thing. I just try and sing about stuff I care about or things that I think will be fun for my audience. Whereas back in the old faking gay, I was more so trying to be in line with this might get me on the radio, this might get me there, and I wasn't really finding success until I kind of bucked the system and started doing it my own way. And now I get to be my authentic self without playing into that stuff, but it takes time to reject those poisons that get put into you and find your way in this world.
Yeah, it really does, man. I have a lot of friends who have gone your route, and they're much happier that way. Um, I have a lot of friends who moved out to big cities and found, the big producer and did their records, and they're not really that happy. They're just kind of existing and, just churning out what the guy, pressing the label.
This is going to sell.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you know what's funny about that?
Yeah.
Like, because I do it all myself, right?
Sure.
I learned really early on, like, if you're going to do it their way, you're going to be stuck doing it their way forever. And that's why I started catching a lot of heat, right? People have always been trying to give me heat, no matter what I've done my entire life. And that was a big red pill moment for me, right? Like learning about a lot of the claws that are in this industry and how it works with other industries and how they push people around to do things and create messages and narratives they want. And anybody who steps out of line, they got to attack and call names and all that. But because of that, I was able to learn all these skills I have. So I can write whatever tunes I want sitting here in the loft of our house.
Yeah.
With my dogs and my wife, and I don't have to worry about dealing with this musician or that musician or this producer or, oh, is this going to get accepted on the radio? Like, I don't even care about that. I just want my friends to enjoy this. And if they like it, they'll play it on their streams, right? So that's way better than the radio ever was.
Yeah, and it's kind of a change, too, because I was listening to some Canadian radio station. It was called Hits FM. It came out of Hamilton. I could get it all the way across Lake Erie.
Okay.
And they would play a lot of artists that I never got a chance to hear because in the States you were playing a different playlist.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I ran into bands like the Tea Party and a whole slew of different Canadian rock and roll artists. And I started branching out with my influences just in that way. But it's completely changed up there now.
Oh yeah.
And everything is just the same pop garbage, just rotated. And it's even worse than in the States.
And if you own the bands, well, because it's a huge Ponzi scheme up here.
Yeah.
So if you like, anytime that I'd get a song played on, say, like CBC Toronto, as long as it was longer than 30 seconds, right? I'd make $40. That's how it used to be back in the old days. So I'm sure it's gone up from there by now. But if you own the bands and you own the stations and you own the songs and you own where the royalties go, you're pretty much just collecting from the taxpayer for the sake of running a media network. And
Yeah.
it's pretty wild stuff when you track it back to where it all goes. But
Yeah. I got my start in a independent radio station. It was actually built by I won't name drop, but a fairly famous musician started a local radio station and gave me a show. And I came up with the idea of the green room, which I already kind of had in the back of my mind. I was doing it kind of as like an online MySpace sort of thing, where it was just like a playlist of my songs. I would do, put like 10 songs together, and it started out as just like stoner rock, like early 2000s era. There was a big push for a lot of that sort of heavy, doomy rock music, and I had
totally, man.
yeah, I had all these records, and I had no outlet. I was like, I want to share this with somebody. So I started putting like little playlists in blog form up on my MySpace, and I was lucky enough to get a guy to let me hop on a microphone. And
That's great, man.
yeah, that's where I started like working in the studio. I did that for a few years. Got married, put that aside, and now that whole marriage mess is behind me, I'm back to running my own studio.
That's sweet, man. I got married 3 years ago, almost now too.
Yeah.
Yeah, love of my life. She's also a musician, so we actually met playing music. So
Oh, that's very cool. My ex did not support my music at all. She wanted me to get away from it. Unfortunately, she was one of those ones that, even though it was bringing in money, wanted me to just quit playing music and just spend weekends on the couch with her. And it was not my thing. It felt so
Yeah.
weird.
no, I get that. Like I prefer staying at home with my wife now,
Yeah.
to be honest, especially with everything that's gone on, especially in Canada, where they're literally like, you didn't make this health choice, so go die and never come to this venue again.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it was everywhere here. There was very few exceptions to it. But even if you go to a place with exceptions, you're still kind of around people and bands that supported that kind of thing. And it makes it hard to want to go out there and do it.
Yeah.
So, it's rare that I'll play live at all anymore, but I kind of don't mind, because when I started playing music in my parents' basement, it was because I wanted to record tunes. I was really into power pop. I was really into garage rock. I was into like just even noise and stuff too.
Sure.
I was getting really into. And I guess my first release, I always forget about this. I never tell people this. My first release was a garage rock album with 10 songs on it that I didn't really know what I was doing, but I wanted to learn to record myself. And so I recorded this thing, I put it out, and in the next couple months it hit like number 1 on every Canadian college chart. Anyone that didn't play from like a predetermined list, right?
Yeah.
And that was a lot of them. And so that's what kind of got me to cut my teeth playing music in Canada, but started getting me attention from, the jealous eyes really quickly, and the people who are like very envious and don't want to create, they just want to destroy. So
Yeah, they catch
like,
on really quick. They see
Yeah.
you. They see you as soon as you walk into a room.
I'm talking to some people from Veterans for Freedom, and a buddy of mine there who has become a friend of mine. He's talking about artists in Canada now. He's like, a lot of artists, they can be a little delicate, but you're more of a blood and guts guy, aren't you, Greg? And I think that sums me up pretty good. I've always been like, oh, these people want to fight. All right, let's do that.
Fisticuffs.
Yeah, it's kind of how it's always been for me. Like, even if it's just like, oh, you want to start slandering at me? Okay, let's play that game.
Yeah, let's get rowdy.
Yeah, and so it was good for me though because it gave me a fighting spirit and let me kind of fight back and form my identity because that's kind of who I am. I'm not one of these little twig boys, you know, that are so abundant in music.
No, we're not going to
So
be seeing Greg's face on any Bud Light cans in the near
no,
future. I do not believe that's gonna be a real thing.
I don't think. Hey, you know what? It's funny. I'm sitting here. I'm drinking one Corona Sun Brew 0.0 because we have a couple left. But I think like how many years I spent just playing bar rooms and selling booze and all that, and now I'm like, try not drinking, have a beer occasionally, but get away from it. And so yeah, don't drink beer. It makes you gay.
It totally does.
Can I say stuff like that on your show, man? I don't.
You're fine as long as we keep
Okay.
away from the big words. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like big swearing and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to make your show.
No, we're not trying to
upset,
like
yeah.
bully or curse anybody out here. This is
Yeah,
just
exactly.
a fun, friendly stream where we put all the BS behind us and we just talk. That's the
I
thing.
always like to check because sometimes we get going on a topic, and then it can lead us to a place like that. But it's good to have the gut check in place.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
man.
absolutely fine. Well, why don't we talk a little bit about your music here, man? What is
Sure.
like your influence when it goes back to the basics? What is your main influence as far as like playing music? What do you hear in your head when you strum a guitar?
Man, that's a big question. If I were to sum up what my influence is right now, I would say my big influence is my own experiences through the years, which have all had their own sub influences, right? Like when I started out, I started playing, I had that garage rock record, but even before that, when I was just learning to play guitar, I was in a Christian ska band with some kids from high school.
Huh,
And
sounds
later,
fun.
later I was in a soul band, kind of like a 60s revival soul band. And I've been in punk bands, hardcore bands, metal bands, rock and roll bands, all of that. I've pretty much tried to play every genre because producing music was something I'm very interested in. And to be able to make an authentic sound is way better than just having the elements there but not really pulling off the sound, right? Because like a 60s soul record sounds a lot better than a neo soul record, even though the quality might be lower because it's got that mono and that hit and there's lots of tambourine.
Yeah.
And learning those types of things were all parts of those experiences through my selective eras. And, so we start with that stuff. I was playing kind of this rockabilly, garage rocky thing out of leaving the whole garage rock demo era behind. And I remember being at a show here in Manitoba, and this guy named Ridley Bent hit the stage, and he just started ripping like 90s style Roper country. And I remember when that hit me live, because everybody's heard 90s country, but until you hear it played correctly live, I don't think it really gets you like it gets you. And so that was like an aha moment for me playing country. But it's funny because I've almost unlearned that in many ways too, because I just want to make songs that are fun. And I just recorded one, like I just got back from the show in Alberta last week, but I set up the equipment that I took with me again here in the home studio and just tracked a brand new song today, which I hope to have out later this week. And that one's not even as much country-ish. I'd say it's more kind of like slightly stonery Steve Earle sounding without the communism, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And yeah, and so without having that limitation on myself anymore and just being like, I'm this guy who plays everything, I'm able to just kind of make things that sound correct, at least to my own ears.
Yeah, music is always evolving, and that's the way that it's gonna go. I've noticed, like, the stations, the big stations, they want to play this weird thing that's like half like Garth Brooks and like half Nickelback, and
Yeah.
it's just absolute garbage.
I
You
know
know
what
what I
you're
mean?
talking about.
They want to take the worst of what's popular to the least common denominator and try to push that out, and people just are not buying it. They really aren't. They need something
what's
authentic.
Super funny about the whole pop country thing? People hate on Nickelback who love pop country, but Nickelback invented pop country.
They pretty
And
much
people-
did. Yeah.
People don't really put that together because they think they're just a rock band, but their style of rock is exactly what like I guess Jason Aldean ended up adopting in many ways with his
Totally.
own sound, a bit twangier. And
Yeah.
if you go back and listen to that early Nickelback stuff, it's hard for me to dislike it now, given what I've heard come out. Because there's so much has come out that I'm just like, oh, I can't do this.
I still like Leader of Men just as a track, just as a solid song. It fits in with like the kind of like post grunge stuff. It was kind
Yeah.
of like it was kind of like the best of what was coming out in like the kind of like late '90s. You know what I
And
mean?
don't get me wrong, some of that stuff completely embodies what's wrong with a lot of the pop rock and country genres as well too, because it was
Yeah.
all formulaic, repetitive. Well, we had a hit, let's replicate that hit instead of let's create, a new sound and feeling. And
Yeah, and even that song too. It is very formulaic, and it is just kind of him like repeating the whole thing, and
even the drum fill at the beginning and halfway
Yeah.
through sounds copy paste.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they just kind of crank up, the dynamics a little bit and just end it. Like I get it, it was a really smart way to put out a song.
It's a business, man.
Yeah.
They made a lot of business doing that. So,
Yeah,
but
I've-
sometimes they forget about the music when they're making the business.
Yeah, I've talked with a lot of people who've worked in pop, and they say that they did get a different appreciation for it because they have to know that it's gonna crack that top 60 is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Those top 60 songs that every radio station has to play, and they push it to the top, and then it goes back to the bottom, and then they push it to the top, and then it goes back to the bottom. It's just a circular way of pushing music, and
Yeah.
what the next hit's going to be because it's just the next single that's coming up the charts.
And what an odd set of chains to put upon someone.
Yeah.
Like it's a weird prison you put yourself in to live that kind of world and life. And like how you were saying, you've got buddies who've kind of rebuked the system and moved on as well too. And you got to, at some point, you got to trade that happiness and be like, I don't hate music. I just hate doing it that way.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to dislike music when you're trying to do it the other way.
I think it comes down to respect and respecting
Yeah.
yourself and respecting different artists. You can take artists that have gotten like a lot of hate over the years, but they did start out somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to kind of respect that they took the shot. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That ball's coming in at you, at 90 miles an hour, and it's like, well, are you going to swing or are you just going to look at it going by?
And one thing I have to say about it too is a lot of people will look at an artist who's done something like that and go, well, now I hate all of their work. But it's kind of neat when you think about music as a timepiece. It's almost like a time machine in ways, because I don't like the degeneracy around the Rolling Stones, but at the same time I like a number of Rolling Stones songs.
Sure.
And in that era of like the Let It Bleed 70s stuff, and also Can't Get No Satisfaction, I have nostalgia attached to those songs within my own life that almost act as a time machine to me. Like hearing Can't Get No Satisfaction reminds me of road trips with my parents when I was little.
Yeah. There are way too many people that cannot separate the art from the artist, and that's a problem. And I especially think with the internet age, like if somebody does something that maybe they don't like personally, it's just going to be blown up.
Yeah.
And it's gonna take away from what they've done in their work.
Well, now with everything that's gone on and people pushing medical treatments, I think it's really affected people, one side or the other of the fence they're on. Like, look at Crosby, Stills, and Nash, right? That guy just passed away.
Yeah.
And he was really pushing everybody take it. But it still doesn't mean that those songs before he did that shouldn't mean something to you.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's really funny now is going out to shows and you see the guys that were yelling at you for not wearing masks and not getting shots.
Oh my gosh. They're still wearing them, man.
Are they up there? Yeah.
Up here? Man. Okay, so where I live in a really good part of this province with a lot of really good people and neighbors and stuff. But there's like one road not too far from me when you go across, and it's like going into another world. Like it's It's almost like 12 Monkeys or something, where everyone's just all afraid of all these diseases and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure out a way to get by. And it's really strange. And it's very rare I'll go that way. But, once in a while you have to go do something. So,
Yeah, like every little
yeah.
downtown and like even small cities has turned into like a mini like San Francisco bug town.
It's
You know
so
what I
weird,
mean?
man.
Like
Totally. That's a good way to put it.
that
With
like
bug
they're all
men walking
yeah,
around
yeah,
worshiping their bug queen.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is, and like
Yeah.
every town is infected now, and we just you know we, I don't know if there is a way to like drive it out. But I think that we have to ignore it for the most part and just love people, man.
I'm
Just
on I'm on the same page as
yeah,
long as you're weary of those who will not bring love. Right? Because
absolutely,
there's always going to be that element too, and it would be foolish for us after everything we've been through to be open arms to that kind of thing.
sure,
So but it all comes on a case by case scenario as well too.
yeah. Well,
You gotta
you
figure that
notice
out.
it right away. You
Yeah,
know the people that are gonna accept you and at least listen to you.
yeah.
And being in music, you're going to run into a lot of lefty liberals.
That's
That's
pretty much
just
all there is, man.
yeah.
Like there might be 10 guys spread out the hard way across Canada who aren't.
Yep. Yep. And
And
I've just gotten to the point where I just get along with people, you know. I get along with the people that would be in, marches that I would not be caught dead, being around.
see, I went
Um,
another way.
yeah.
I just disassociated because I found that these people are never really going to accept me, even though I'm willing to be open to them. And thereby, I'm not going to bring them hate or pain or anything like that, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to devote my time into building relationships with them. And what I
Sure.
found on the other side of it was, you find people who never had a chance to be a part of any music community or music scene, who just want to be like, hey, I bought a guitar or I bought a banjo because I heard you playing one and I used to play it, but I never had anyone to play with. So I play along to your songs. And so I focus on those people. I don't have an open slate like I used to, mainly because of the experiences that I've had specifically that have been somewhat painful for me. So you could call me more stoned and jaded, but I completely understand your point of view, and I would say that before this era that I'm in now, I would be almost identical to your point of view. But because of the things I've learned, I've kind of just moved more to a dissociation. But that's
Yeah,
just me, man.
we all learn and evolve. I mean, if I if I were to like nitpick on all the thousands of musicians that I've met throughout the years, I wouldn't have any friends.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I wouldn't even be friends with me at younger eras of myself if I were to nitpick.
Yeah,
Because I grew up in Canada. It's a super leftist public system that like indoctrinates. It really is an indoctrination system that makes you think a certain way. And only through self love and self growth do you learn, oh wow, this is like intrinsically evil, and this is trying to make me think a certain way so that I fit in with this collectivism nonsense, and where everyone says they're an individual as long as they're all the same. It's like the goth kids on South Park.
yeah.
And
Like yeah, and at that
and
point you're just a conformist, and that's what I
yeah.
learned in my 20s, like after I got out of like my straight edge phase. You know
Oh
what
yeah,
I mean?
I was there too, man. I didn't
Yeah.
drink a beer till I was like 22 or something.
Word. Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, that's where the scene was for me. I just wanted to go out and have fun, and it got intense. There were people that were like smoking or something at a show, and it would start a problem with like the kids that didn't want to be around like the smoke, and
Yeah.
it was a really different time before all this weird internet connectivity, especially late 90s, early 2000s was the last time I saw like anything that I could consider like authentic. We just plug in at some like gazebo next to like a skate park or something like that,
Yeah.
and we'd just go nuts. If people showed up, they showed up. We'd just make cheap flyers out of whatever resources that we had. Sometimes we'd go to the library, and just we'd cut out things, put them on the Xerox, and just let it go, and just make 50 copies, and then we'd go out.
Same stuff we did, man. And it's funny too. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You go.
Go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
you go. This is a polite stream. You go first.
Well, we'll listen to an interview with you, but we would just go out on the streets, and once we had passed out all the flyers, we would just go make more.
Yep. And that's returning now too. Like maybe it's more of a Canadian thing because like Bill C-11's coming through, and they're going to be restricting what people can see, not only on social media just by going, well, this is hate speech because we disagree with it, so it's gone. But also at the internet service provider level, they're going to, your VPN will be useless in Canada soon if they pass this bill, which they're going to do anyway. They don't care if it passes or not. They just do things.
Yeah, Canada seems like it's been like the guinea pig for the New World Order. I mean, your laws
Toronto
were
is
like
their capital, man.
Yeah,
like that's the West's capital, and I'm lucky I'm in the West because the West at least is somewhat sane. It's sparse. It's spread out. Mm-hmm. Being in Eastern Canada, like closer to where the action is, my gosh, I feel so bad for my friends who are in those areas because it can be so much better with so much less.
Yeah, last time I was in Toronto, I felt like I was in like a little Asian town, like somewhere. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, what the heck is going on?
The air there is like going to Europe, like the air gets heavier in large centers in Europe. I don't know if you've been, but like breathing air in Poland and Germany is like, it's heavy and it's humid. And it's the same in Toronto, but where I'm in Manitoba, it's clean and crisp and nice. So as much as people like to knock on Manitoba, we at least have air. It's not like Spaceballs.
Yeah. They're just going to be sucking it out of you and then sell it back to you in a can.
They have those cans. Dude, they have air cans now. Have you seen that stuff?
There's something wrong with these cans. We're going to see Greg Arcade shooting at cans of air very soon.
Yeah. Compressed air cans. Those probably kick pretty fun.
Oh my gosh.
Speaking of shooting at things, did you see what I did to my country award?
No, I didn't.
So there's a video on my YouTube. It's a cover of Keep Your Rifle by Your Side.
Okay.
There's two covers,
nice.
But the first one's an acoustic one. And so when all the hubbub started around me, because they were going after me for being supportive of Jeremy McKenzie, a friend of mine, right?
Yeah.
So the Canadian ADL wrote articles about me to try and like destroy my character, and I don't care because the people who fell off were not good people anyway, and it helped me find way more good people. But anyway, Manitoba Country Music Association's like, well, you can't have your award because you promote hate, right? This guy's just a veteran speaking out about nonsense. And all I did was help him with a website so he couldn't get canceled. So I took that award and we tied a tub of tannerite to the back of it and shot it and blew it up.
Nice.
So at the start of that video of Keep Your Rifle by Your Side, you can watch us do that in the winter. Didn't have a good camera set up at the time, so it's as good as it could be. But
yeah, I'm not sure how I missed that.
Because I have a ton of content, man.
Yeah. That's probably it. You've been
like
you've been
2 years
out
I've
stuff.
Put out last week before I left, I put out a new 8-song cover album. A couple weeks before that, 4-song EP. A couple weeks before that, a different 8-song cover album. And that's what you can do when you're just recording at home, right? Like, it's fun.
Yeah, very, very cool, man. Well, here's an easy question for you. Okay, now that I've bombarded you with quite a few of them. Favorite band?
Oh, you can't do that one to me.
I have to. Everybody gets that one.
That one's hard.
It is. It is hard. It's got to be just what you're thinking about right now, man. Because it's probably going to change next week. But
see, I've got a couple tiers. If I were to like pick a band right now with absolutely can't say that this is my 100% because as soon as the stream's over, I'll go, why didn't I say this other one? I would probably say the band. Okay. Just based on how many songs I've sang along to in my life and loved and enjoyed, and also nostalgic memories. Yeah. Like between Up on Cripple Creek, Atlantic City, there's tons of tunes that those guys have put out that have just felt good. Who sings Pink Moon? That's a big one for me. What's his name? Nick something. I'm just gonna look this up.
Pink Moon was Nick Drake.
Yeah, so Nick Drake's real good too. as if you like acoustic stuff. That was a big one for me. That one has a lot of nostalgia for me and my wife.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, who else would there be? I'm flooded with stuff. Okay, so I really like Ryan Bingham.
All right.
I know that he's enjoying his heroin trips now, being a big Yellowstone star or something. But I still think his music's very compelling and he writes very good songs. And that was not a slight. I just the guy got on the smack for a while there. I hope he's good now. But so
Hey,
there's that. It happens, especially when you get that money thrown at you. So that was good.
Man.
Have you ever listened to that record from the movie Crazy Heart with Jeff Bridges?
Yes, I love it.
So Brian Bingham did a bunch of the writing on that. He was also in that movie. He was Tony in the Renegades. He was Tony.
Oh, very cool.
And have you ever seen Yellowstone?
I haven't seen Yellowstone
Okay.
yet. People are like, "You gotta see this."
It is a great show.
Yeah.
He is. I think he comes in on season 3 or something, and he's in there as well too. And he's great in that show. So
Sounds like
he's
something I
up
have to
there.
binge.
I was at that point where I'm like, I don't watch anything but King of the Hill anymore. I like when I go out, I like a steak or a hamburger. I don't need to try anything new. Same with my TV shows. But then we started watching this, and an episode or two was kind of like, this might go either way. And then by about the 3rd episode of the first season, it's like, strong masculine characters that aren't being like diversely subverted. Like there's a little tiny bit of that in that show, but for the most part, it's just a good TV show. It's like watching the new Top Gun, where there's a little bit that you can pick up on, but if you don't hyper focus on that stuff, it's a really good, fun movie to watch. It reminds you of the 90s.
Sure. Yeah. If you go looking for something that's
You're
gonna
always gonna
piss you
find it.
off, you're
Yeah.
gonna find it. It's that's exactly what Dee Snider said to Tipper Gore, man. And I have just taken that all the way through. No matter what side of the aisle people are on, if you go looking for trouble, you're going to find it. If you
Yeah.
go looking for something that's going to gross you out in lyrics or in film, it's
Or
just
if you
it's
pay
all
too
up
much
to
attention
Yeah.
to someone coming at you.
Yeah.
Because if someone comes at you and you're just like, this person's insane, I'm not going to deal with this. I'm not going to give my energy to this. I'm going to keep doing the good things I want to do. It's the same mentality as that stuff. You just like, don't focus on it. Continue doing the awesome work that you're tasked with doing. And that's how I feel about things, and relationships and music and work, whatever. All
Very
the same
cool,
thing.
man. Well, let's get to a couple chats here. I pulled up the Odyssey stream, and it looks like we got 17 people watching.
Who's in the chat? We got everybody's here.
Yeah, say hi to everybody in the chat. We're finally looking at you guys. We've been talking for about half an hour now, just kind of off the cuff. And hit that fire button too. If you're new to Odyssey, that fire button is kind of like the like button. That's what's going to boost the channel. If you would like to send a donation, you type $sign into the chat box, hit in what you want to send as a donation, and that's how you support the Green Room. All right, I don't charge anybody for anything. I just let the donations speak for themselves. But we have $6 tipped in so far.
Nice.
From our man, the Reverend Chad Kroger, who is a fellow Canadian. And he likes to harass me. So he says, as far as you all know, I hate Nordic Frost with all my good white Christian Canadian trucker rally attending soul. But he is having Craig Arcade on, so I will listen. Nordic Frost, did you let Canadian Dissident Telegram peeps know of this show? It would be good to spread it. Well, yes, I did let everyone in the Telegram know that this show is up and running. And for another $1, he says, Toronto sucks filthy old balls. And
He's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong at all. No,
I also posted on my channels there too. Hopefully drive a couple people. I don't know how you get so many subs on Odyssey, man. Odyssey's crazy. I'm sitting at like 94 or something on mine.
I just got to push it. That's the thing. I do shows every week, and now I'm doing like 2 shows a week just
Nice.
because I have the ability to do the content. And
Can I shout out 2 people?
you can
Real
shout out whoever the hell
Okay,
you
first
want,
off,
man.
I'm going to shout out Edgy, Colbert's mom, GDR, Reverend, there's a few more, Uncle Ted. You guys are all in the chat. Thanks for coming to see the show. I also wanted to shout out Quick Dubs. because he's the guy who kind of linked us up originally too.
Yeah.
Because I'm like very leery of anybody new. Again, given
I understand.
my perspective, but Dubs was like, "Hey, this guy just tweeted. You should totally do the show." I was like, "Okay, sounds good. I'm glad I did. I'm having a great time." And then also, I just wanted to send a big GM out to King Attendees. Who knows if he'll ever hear this, but I think he was tweeting GMs at you one morning, and I jumped in on a couple GMs.
Right
So,
on. Yes,
You gotta send GM. Yeah,
Yes, you have to send GM.
yeah.
Make sure all your friends have their tendies and sauce, and that's pretty much what I use Twitter for.
GMing. It's crazy because I had one of the first Twitter accounts when it started, way back. Not the current account I have now, and it was like just this weird kind of whatever place, or like 128 characters. What's that about? Now it's very strange, like MK Ultra programming brain attacks. Based on whoever you are, you're going to have a bad time on there most of the day, unless you're just going around saying GM.
Yeah.
It's the only way to break the algorithm.
Yep.
Because there's all these people now, you've seen this new trend of like, my name is Name, and I want my mask back on, and I'm doing it because I'm not a super spreader, or something like that. And it's like all coordinated all at once. These people are all doing it with their super Bane mask on, and it's popping up in my feed because they want me to get angry about it.
Yeah.
And I just am trying so hard not to. It's just more funny now than anything. It's like,
Well,
you
there was a video that I was watching a little bit earlier today, and they were going over like the bot networks and how those are like really gearing up.
Oh my gosh,
Right now,
they're massive, man.
Yeah, it is massive. It's really weird.
Dead internet is real. Like, the theory is not a theory. The internet is like a hollow shell populated by itself.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Anyway,
Yeah.
the bots, go on about it.
There's a lot of it. It's like the American politics and like the Indian politics thing. It's like the same bots. They're doing like the same thing. We had
Look at Justin Trudeau's comments sometime. It's all Indian bot farm dudes. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, Daddy, I love you, #1 president, all Canada." Like, they say stuff like that. I'm not even joking. I'm not embellishing. And it's all like, it's just a flood of that. And every other comment's just like, you belong in prison forever, mixed with this other stuff. And they use that to keep their own psyoped politicians happy.
Yeah,
So
they're
like, see, people like you. Don't worry.
Yeah, a lot of times you're arguing with yourself when you
Yep.
type on there, because what you are doing is you're just talking to a bot, and that bot just gives you a canned response that you would probably just get you to respond, and you just go down that rabbit hole.
Well, with the AI able to code Python pretty simple to set up its own bot armies, they're assigning bots to people based on, your internet doppelganger, how you have like qualities about you that get stored in a file.
Oh yeah,
So
I have one of those. It sells coffee, and they're from Korea.
Everybody has 1 or 10 of those, and what they do is they'll access what's in there, and now they'll code certain bots to interact with you over time.
Yeah.
And then you kind of warm up to people, and then before long they'll start fomenting a narrative in your head by doing other things that are kind of, hey, this person's based and they're doing this now, so I'm going to follow that. Because that's just human nature. That's how social animals work, and the only way to avoid that is to say GM every morning.
Yeah, it is just so weird just watching like these bot farms try to take over my identity and make me a better me, or make it into like the me that they want inside like their little bubble that can't break out. It's been such a wild ride, man. But hey, how about we actually get to some music, since we've been sitting here and just bullshitting for a little while.
Sure.
I'm going
you know
to...
one thing we should do before
Yeah.
that? We
What's
can,
up?
if I do this right, it can sound like I'm going from left to right in their speakers because of the way we set up the mics.
Well, it did sound like that in mine.
It does it? It's just
Yeah.
the same? Well, now I feel really dumb. Sorry for cutting you off again. I'm having a fun time, man. Thank you.
Oh man, that was That's the audio humor is something that I need every once in a while. It
For the people who don't
helps me
know,
out.
so when I was hooking up to this streaming service that Nordic uses here, I was only getting left signal, and because everybody knows I'm the most stubborn man in Canada, instead of changing things, I just hooked in another mic, and we're in stereo tonight. So that makes sense now, maybe to people who are trying to wonder what I was doing before.
Yeah,
Sorry, man.
we just keep laughing about
I
it.
will I will take the convo and run with it unless I'm stopped. I'm a madman.
All right. So we had this one EP that I listened to that I absolutely loved. Let's see, what was it called?
Gas.
A little gas in the tank.
Yeah.
And I
Do you want a little story about that?
Yeah, I would love to hear the story about this.
Okay, so there's 3 songs on this EP: "Go Down Swinging," "Rally on Me," and "Homegrown." They came out in the reverse order of that. I just started hitting a stride and playing. This is the sound I really like. This is the sound I'm making for the next record. And so there's these 3 songs, and they've been resonating with people a lot because I'm just going full truth into my songs and just telling straight, real stories of things I've heard. So Homegrown was kind of like me talking about what I want to achieve within the next year or two. And
Right on.
and that's a lot of what's in the lyrics, and I know a lot of people who listen to me have the same or similar goals, right? And it talks about, like, you could get bent out of shape worrying about things online, or you can focus where your focus should be at home. And it's kind of just like a fun pop country tune. That's another thing about the songs on this record. They're being made for a bigger record called Soundtrack to the Collapse, where I'm trying to write popish tunes. Because there's a lot of truther rap, there's a lot of punk, there's a lot of metal that is like on our side, right? Whatever you want to call it, the liberty side, the right wing side. But there's not a ton of pop music that's doing it, and I just thought, why shouldn't there be? Because there's some people who listen to my stuff who like pop music too, so why not give her? So I did that. After I finished Homegrown, I got the idea for Rally on Me, because I was just, people were writing like, your songs really, lift me up. And I just kind of thought, here's a tune that came to me, and if you're feeling down or in the dumps or alone or anything, put this record on, and I'm gonna be there with you when you listen to it. And that's kind of the Rally on Me, like, we'll be together, we'll be friends, like, I'm here for you. And there's truth in those lyrics too, all from my own experience. Then there's Go Down Swinging, which is all real stories people within the online community who are fans and friends of mine have told me. And some of them are multiple stories laid on top of one for each verse, but it's a very truthful song about people dealing with everything that's gone on in Canada, and not just Canada, beyond it, with all the lockdowns, with the coercion, with the mandates, with losing your job because the insanity that people are participating in.
Sure. Yeah.
And so there's these tunes, and because I'm writing these tunes, one of these people who've been affected by everything that's gone on, this lady whose husband is in jail from the Coots blockade, still 400 days after those guys were put in prison. They're not even in jail, they're in remand, which means they don't even have as many rights as people in jail.
That's why. Yeah, we don't have that here. It's
stories
a completely
I
different
heard,
system.
Man, so I was there this last weekend, which
It's
is
like
the
gulag,
culmination.
I guess.
It really is. And one of these guys, he's big, he wears size 15 shoes, and they wouldn't give him shoes for over 6 months.
Wow.
They had to make their own stuff. I'll tell you a little more about that in a bit. I'll just go back to finishing the story of the EP. So I'm sitting there, and my friend Lee Stewie, she was like, these songs are getting better and better, and you're like cutting me deep, and I'm joking. I'm like, I should probably just I gotta go do this show in Alberta, support these guys. I should just write a song called like Gas in the Tank, and we'll put out an EP, and I could sell it and make some gas money for the trip. And I was just like, why don't I do that? So I grabbed a guitar, ripped a little riff, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. So I went, sat down, recorded it. 3 hours later, it was done. I drew some artwork. I got it up on my website. I mastered the whole album. Although I have to remaster this one. There's a couple little audio errors in the tails. It's
Sure.
okay. It's an EP. And Yeah, so I put it out, and that was the A Little Gas in the Tank EP. And so it's just kind of a way for people who these songs are resonating with. They could throw $5 minimum donation or more at gregarcade.com. If you guys want to support, you can go there and pick it up.
Yes,
And it
everyone
helped me
do
with the
that.
trip. And there was a few people who went hard and went, like, they donated quite a bit of money to get me there. And it was lucky because I'm going to do a little podcast right away with my buddies who came with me to the trip, but where we talk like little 5-minute episodes just about little road stories called Durango Diaries. Because Quick Dubs talked me into, why don't you just rent a slightly bigger vehicle, be more comfortable? And so I did, and then when I went to the rental place, because you never go on the road in your own car, because your friends will trash it, uh, I get there, and they're like, oh yeah, we got your car ready for you, this V8 Hemi. I'm like, oh, that's going to be great for this long-distance trip. So we needed the gas money. Thank you, everybody who donated. We burned a lot of it.
You know what? It's amazing what people can achieve when they just ask. You know what I mean? When you just ask, like, "Hey, just need a little bit of help. Just need a little bit of scratch to get me to the next town," and people will hook you up. You
Yeah.
know, it's about we don't have a funding problem. We have a fellowship problem in the West. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That is the issue that I'm trying to get people to realize. Because when I was working at this low power station, you know, it's like independently owned, operate, but they get all their funding through grants. You know what I mean? So once a year, they do their taxes and they ask for, you know, tens of thousands of dollars to cover their costs, and they get it, you know. But it's not something that's available to everyone else that wants to do something similar. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
That's not
think,
something that I would be able to really put myself into, and they'd kind of be like, "Well, who are you, and why do you feel like you need this?" It's like, no, this is for our friends. This is for our
but
friends that hang out in like the city council and everything like that. So,
but that's part of the beautiful part of the adaptability of moving forward with everything in not just entertainment but as a whole, right? Because think about this show, you're not limited by your range, and even though you can repost the shows from your radio station, most of the times it would lean on the radio signal for listeners as opposed to putting more effort into the marketing of this awesome show that you run, right?
yeah.
So it's kind of neat in a way that we're forced to be somewhat adaptable. I'm doing the same thing with my website. So on my website, you can go and buy songs directly from me. A lot of people go, well, why is it on Spotify? Why is it on Apple Music? Well, the company values there don't align with what I want to do. And look at what they did to so many artists where they say one thing worth canceling and they're off. You can't even access stuff you paid for that should be on your phone because they got rid of it. And instead of waiting around for that kind of thing to happen to me, because I like to drink loudmouth soup and then talk, uh, I just decided let's make this right into my own site. And sure, I have to use Stripe. I stopped using PayPal because PayPal's got its crazy policies now.
Yeah.
But I'm learning as I go, and people can go and buy directly. But on top of that, I realize people can't always download to their device and play it. That might not be an option. So I even coded an app off the side of my site. Like, it's very lightweight, and I'm not a coder. But if you go to gregarcade.com/jukebox, there's ad-free streaming. You just click and it starts playing. You can turn the screen off on your phone. You can navigate away. It'll keep playing. And that's better than YouTube,
Yeah.
because YouTube will screw you over
Yeah.
when you try and go away from it. So that's kind of like the whole, yeah, they have their public money. Yeah, they're leeching from people. But we're the ones with the actual audiences. And we're the ones with the actual support network who'll get out there and support. Like you said, people get
this is
behind
true.
what we do. And we shouldn't, it won't be long as we keep growing in the way we are before those stations from the more antiquated system come towards us and go, hey, we want to work with you again. And we'll have more leverage power at that point, because there's a certain point where it'll be like, you know how you're saying you got these buddies who go to marches we both probably don't agree with. Fair. But a lot of those people also get funded by the Canadian entertainment system is out of control. The granting system is crazy.
Yeah.
How much money they throw at bands that flop. And they just use the media to lie about how much money goes into entertainment and how much it makes back for the system when it doesn't. And because it's a big uniparty system up here. And it's not just the parties, it's everything. It's very communist.
It's just it's just a siphoning system.
Yeah,
Is
and
what it turns out into. And like I still look on like YouTube and look at my old what my old radio station is doing, and like I'm blowing them away as far as views go over here, because like everyone sees it. Well, you know, they're already supported by this grant system, so why do I have to support it? You know what I mean?
it's the same thing with bands that get grants for their music. That's one thing that I always say. It's like, why would anybody pay for your record? They already paid for your record.
Yeah.
And if they're not going to listen to your stuff, they're not going to pick that up, then what are you really? Like, it's part of the reason I give a lot of stuff away for free, though, too, because it's more important for me to be a member of this community who contributes in a good way and can help other people grow, because I realize that I'm not going to be able to change this all by myself, but the talents I have can maybe make more noise if I lend them to other people to use. And that's what I'm trying to do with the stuff I do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, God gave us talent, and we have to use it.
Absolutely.
You know, it's one of those things where if we don't, our life gets worse. Because guess what? We're not using the gifts that God gave us.
Absolutely. I talk about this a bit, and so when I went to that show on Friday, I also recorded like 8 radio shows and put out 8 new songs throughout the course of the day and tried to time these pre-recorded radio shows with where we'd be on the road. So one thing I was talking about, because it was Easter weekend, was these crosses were given to bear. And if we don't carry the crosses that God gives us to carry, we don't get the reward from that journey, be it just the lesson or the wisdom. And if we keep denying these opportunities to endure these struggles, we end up not being necessarily able to recover that original cross we were given to carry, and we have to do so much more work, and we might not get back to the first lesson we might have got. So we have to just charge out there, even if we're fearful, because we're commanded not to be fearful, and just use what we've been given to help the people we believe are doing righteous things.
Absolutely. That's how it works, man. It seems so simple, but people want to scoff at us.
Yeah. Let them scoff, because it's kind of funny when you realize how it all works, how it's all connected, how beautiful it really all is of a design. And you have this honor and privilege to be here, even if you have a hard road and people are going to call you names. Like, that's kind of part of the journey that you have to learn to deal with. Like, you've been given that because that's a lesson for you specifically to have to deal with, and you're going to encounter it. You know, without sounding too much like a Calvinist here, I don't mean like everything's perfectly set out. We still have to free will our way through this life. But
of course,
there are things that come across our path that we have to choose to deal with or run from.
Yeah, running from my creativity was probably one of the worst mistakes I ever made in my entire life. I was not meant to be a worker bee, like a 9-to-5, type of guy. It does nothing for me, and if anything, it damages my soul.
Sometimes, yeah, like it depends on the type of person you are as well, too, right? Like, I think one big moment for me. Do you know Greg Wycliffe? Are you aware of this guy? He's like
I'm not
Canadian.
sure.
He's a Canadian content creator, really well spoken, awesome guy, like friend of mine. I like him quite a bit. He was talking to me, and we were talking about Sam Hyde, and because I started just putting out a lot of content one week, and I wasn't slowing down, and he's like, "You're kind of approaching this from a Sam Hyde way, where you're almost doing blue collar creative content creation, where you go into work every day and you grind it out." And you go to sleep and you do the same thing over again. I feel that's kind of where I fit, because I'm not a super artsy fartsy type, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm also not like super blue collar type too. I'm somewhere in the middle of that, and I mix the two really well, I think. And because this realization was made, and I started approaching my life like this, I was able to start just churning out content, like in ways the people who have worked to denigrate me over the years could not even imagine to do, right?
Sure.
Because they're not out here working; they're just sitting there shit talking,
Yeah.
talking. Sorry for swearing.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a completely different animal when you go into a studio and you know that all the bills are already paid. Then
Yeah.
when you get independently, you want to just push yourself further. So
Totally. Well, the thing too, man, if you're doing creative stuff, learn to record at home. Because there's guys like me spotted out everywhere, and obviously not identical, but I'm working with a bunch of artists right now too that kind of had no idea how they were going to continue, given everything that's happened.
right.
And if you can get yourself like an interface with a 58, like here's the 58 I'm talking into,
Yep.
and the quality of that mic is so fantastic, and then you can send it to a guy like me who's got outboard gear and plugins that can sonically maximize it even more, and also play all these instruments and lay it into your stuff. Now you're able to have that band you weren't able to put together because half of them were super commie and hate you, the other half are terrified of getting sick, and you can never get together and get anything done. And you can work on things and eventually, break off and do it yourself, but you learn how to do it from home, and now the stress of doing vocal tracks never destroys your soul again. Because that was one thing that always got me in the studio. It's like, oh, I got to sing in front of this guy? I don't know this guy.
Yeah.
And now I'm fine with that kind of thing. But when you're a young kid who kind of is like really delicate to criticism, that's hard to work with a studio producer. But it's also made me able to work with other people with their vocals, because it's like, okay, I know this is hard. Don't worry. Nothing I'm saying is meant to be mean. But
Yeah. Sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
sorry
the
if I'm
first-
just yammering here, but
No, the first thing I did when the whole COVID thing happened is I invested in a PC that was
nice.
going to have the capabilities that I need. And a lot of people have said, hey, man, your sound quality is great. And it's like I picked out a very, very specific sound card that I wanted that was going to be able to process audio without things getting, weird. If
Yep.
you know what I mean. Because
Yeah, I know. You lose that RAM, and then it can kind of spot and jitter. There's even a
Yes.
couple spots on my tracks where it will occasionally do that. And if I don't go back in and fix it by the time I really noticed it, I don't think anyone else will, but I'm so in tune to it, it happens still. But yeah, it can be really bad if you don't have the right setup and your interface is running at a slightly different clock than your computer.
Yeah.
Like it can really, really mess with hours of work.
Yeah, I I spent a lot of time overclocking my computer and getting things
Nice.
just right so that I can run gaming and whatever else I need without any weird starts and stops and jitters going on.
See,
So-
that's one thing I had to completely give up, playing video games.
Yeah,
Because it's too fun. It was too fun. I stopped
it is
quite
too
a while
fun.
ago. Once or twice a year, I'll boot something. Usually when the first big blizzard comes here,
Yeah,
I'll call a couple of my buddies and be like, Minecraft like the old days. And we'll play for a couple hours and be like, all right, I can't do this anymore. And I got to delete it. But it's fun once in a while, but I just can't. I can't. I wish I could have shooter games, but I can't. Because it would be my life.
it makes me feel like I have a hangover a lot of
Yeah.
times because I'll be playing for like 12
then-
hours straight until
Yeah,
that.
you're up till 6 in the morning.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not for me. I gave up. I gave up waking up on the wrong side of the morning a long time ago when I met my wife. That's essentially it. It took me about a year to get the wild man out of me.
Yeah.
But after that, I'm very happy to do that. Now, I'm in bed most nights between 8 and 9 p.m. and getting up like 5 or 6, and it's just awesome. Although this week, I'll give it to you, I've been getting up later because I'm thinking about covering that Toby Keith song. Ain't as good as I once was. That's how I feel after that drive, buddy. Holy, that was something.
Right. Hey, let me get to a couple other chats here. We had $10. Bear for All Seasons says, GM, the green room is coziest room. I agree, man. GM to you as well. And Reverend
GM
Chad.
Bear, GM,
Yeah.
GM. So, you have to GM as much as possible.
Absolutely. The Reverend Chad over here says, I'm digging the show so much I have to donate again. Well, thanks, man. We run on donations here. Now, I would want to get to some actual tracks now that we've talked quite a bit here. And I'll tell you, my favorite song from the EP was Homegrown. That was the song that...
Seems to be everybody's kind of special little gem.
Is it? It's weird how people can just pick out the track. Like, that's the one. That's the
it's
banger,
the one.
right?
And that's like what I figured out too, right? Like, there's that one spot where there's almost kind of like a half country rap. I'm like, I don't know. I've never done this before, but at the same time, this needs to happen right here. You know,
It works.
So yeah,
If it works, it works, and if it feels good, then there's nothing wrong with it.
totally.
So,
Yeah, making tunes to make tunes without limiting yourself. That's what we talked about earlier, and that's why I think these new songs are fun, because I don't care. Like, I'm doing a more modern vocal production on them too. You know, driving a little hard tune on the backing vocals just so there's a bit of that effect on purpose.
Uh-huh.
And I like how it sounds. It's fun. Doesn't make me feel like an old man. Yeah.
Right. Well, I want to play Homegrown, and why don't you pick another song off of this EP to play?
I would
We'll go with that.
Go Down Swinging, just because folks are really resonating with that one.
All right, man.
Totally.
Well, I'll have you mute up, and we will keep it in the green room.
Absolutely.
She was sitting all alone in a motel beside the highway. She'd been living out her car since the government took her job. Coerced to comply or they were letting her go. She knew money wasn't worth giving up her soul. Alone on the road, she's scared of where she might end up tomorrow. You gotta fight against the dying of the light with all that you got inside you. If you go down swinging, you can say that you did all you could do. It's been a few months since he last heard the sound of his kid's voice. Their mom had signed them up, but he wanted them to have a choice. He told her trust in God, she just turned up the TV. Swore they never put that poison in them or me. Now he only sees his kids in between the court's legal proceedings. You gotta fight against the dying of the light with all that you got inside you. If you go down swinging, you can say that you did all you could do. Dying all alone 'cause there ain't nobody coming to visit. Doesn't know his family's outside 'cause the hospital won't let them in. You gotta fight against the dying of the light with all that you got inside you. If you go down swinging, you can say that you did all you could do. You gotta fight against the dying of the light with all that you got inside you. If you seem like things are getting crazy out there. Trains off the rail, there's a dark cloud up in the air. And it's been going on so long, it's hard to find a reason to care. So I can get bent out of shape, or I can answer with a mile-long stare. I'd rather get a little homegrown place out in the country I could call my own. Space to grow a garden neath the greenhouse dome, raise a little family. I'd grow a little homegrown, sit out on the porch, get a little bit stoned, watch the sunset behind my happy home. That sure sounds like heaven to me. You can spend your time tracking rabbit holes you can't change, or you can head offline, keep yourself from going insane. That don't mean you shouldn't be aware of what's going on, but you should know by now you're better off taking care of your own. Get a little homegrown place out in the country I could call my own. Space to grow a garden neath the greenhouse dome, raise a little family. I'd grow a little homegrown, sit out on the porch, get a little bit stoned, watch the sunset behind my happy home. That sure sounds like heaven to me. Fry, country cook walleye, teaching my kids how to drop a deer with iron sights. Dirt road, no lights, local bar wing nights, beers with the boys and occasional fist fights. RC scared of me, oh sin aware of me, oh shit, bags free, safety stay away from me. Grown Manitoban with a heart like a lion, long teeth like a yoke. Can you hear them dogs crying? Homegrown place out in the country I can call my own. Leaves me the hell alone. So I could grow a little homegrown, sit out on the porch, get a little bit stoned, watch the sunset behind my happy home. That sure sounds like heaven to me. I'll get a little homegrown place out in the country I could call my own. Space to grow a garden neath the greenhouse dome, raise a little family. I'll grow a little homegrown, sit out on the porch, get a little bit stoned, watch the sunset behind my happy home. That sure sounds like heaven to me. Watch the kids get all grown, sit out on the porch, get a little bit stoned, and watch the sunset behind my happy home. That sure sounds like heaven to me. It really sounds like heaven. Sure sounds like heaven to me.
All right, friends, we are back in the green room with my man Greg Arcade.
How are you?
Those are great songs, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
It is something that I really, really appreciate when somebody can do all of that all on their own and put it out there and just have people react to it. You know, that's what we need. We need to just be able to get things out there and let people judge for themselves whether they want to listen to it or not.
Well, it's easy when you become your authentic self in presenting stuff, right? Like I'm writing songs that aren't based in degeneracy. Like this isn't like Luke Combs singing just songs about long neck, ice cold beer. It's like that's what you want to sing about, man. You don't have anything else to say right now. And
probably does, but they won't let him.
Yeah, totally. That guy's got talent and a half, right? But and he's got some really heartfelt songs too. But you can kind of see how some of those heartfelt songs get a little co-opted for narratives, at times. And when you don't have your feet in in that camp, in that world of delusion, right? Because he's selected to inspire thousands more to emulate him, so that the studio and the industry has a ton of work to do. And it's the same thing as the granting system. They use it in the same way as advertising. But when you're actually just making tunes for people who care about your tunes, and you're making it because you care about them, it was easy to begin resonating with people because there was no more facade. There was no more, I'm trying to fit in with anything.
Yeah.
It's just, I want to make tunes that are good. And sometimes I do write songs that have elements of, degeneracy in it. I'm not completely pious. I am human, right? But I'm just saying overall, I'm not trying to say, like, take out a truck loan and get wasted every night. That's not part of my message. And I bring up the truck loan thing a lot because there was an era there a little bit ago where every song was about an F-150. And I don't think anybody really paid attention to it because
it's a commercial.
It's commercial radio is what they call it.
Yeah.
And you want to get on commercial radio, write commercials.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are like, no, these are serious songs. Serious songs are for like jazz musicians in France you've never heard of. You got to find a happy medium.
Yeah, down in Nashville, we used to just call it Nashville pop, is what it was. Mm-hmm. And there would be a different band every night at all these different bars in Nashville. And they were all pretty much playing the same sort of thing, though. It was just, different venue, different people there, but it lacked the authenticity because everybody was there to hope that the right producer was in the audience.
Yeah.
And they needed to do the same thing, and it was very copy pasta. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you cut that out and you just go, wait a minute, why don't I just go right to my audience? Yeah. Why don't I figure out who my audience is? I don't need someone to come along and say, like, you need to sing about this, otherwise it won't work. It's like, no, I'm going to sing for the people who don't like that. And it turns out there's a lot of them. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people who aren't. It's like voting. People don't vote because there's nothing for them to vote for. And it's the same thing with music. A ton of people don't. Yep. Yeah, but they don't do it because they're like, this is all garbage. Right? And
totally.
When I switched from trying to get people to like, oh, can you please go to my Spotify and pre-save this song, and it comes out in a month, and that's the only content I have for you this month. When you stop doing that and just being like, hey, here's a song. Oh, by the way, I made you another song. Oh, by the way, you sent me a private message, so I just recorded you a VM, which is a song. And just being like, I make music, and you do that for people. Then they go, oh, yeah, this guy's all right. And then you go, oh, yeah, these people are all right.
Yeah.
Because it's a two-way street at the end of the day. You don't want to... I don't want to use anyone in my audience. I want to give them music, and I want them to be happy about it. So
yeah, it seems like a real loss of talent too, because I know guys like Brad Paisley and Keith Urban are fantastic guitar players.
They're
right?
insane, man. I can't believe
amazing.
How they both play.
Yeah,
and then Keith Urban drops a whole album of pop country songs with not one single solo on it.
Isn't it maddening? It's
maddening. That guy can rip. You see that video of him ripping by that pool?
Yeah,
at that pool party when he was young? That was cool, eh?
Yeah. That's how I noticed him. I'm like, okay, this guy's got some talent, and when he hits it, I'll probably pay attention to him. Well, he hit it, but then the music just kind of took the back seat, and it was all about...
He had a short era there where it was pretty good. Like, there's a few... It's like Shania Twain, man. 1993 was the epitome of country music. Because Whose Bed Have Your Boots Been Under? That was when that was coming out around that time, I think, right?
Sure.
93 or 96. I think that's the perfect country music song, other than the burp, burp, doom, burp, burp, when they do that kind of thing, just because they have to bring in every genre in the 90s.
Yeah.
But it was like so perfectly produced, an asymmetrical song, which is very difficult to play, that nobody picks up on because it's just perfectly written. Mm-hmm. And then after that, she goes on to do a whole bunch of other stuff that just didn't do anything good. And where was I going with this? This happens to me quite often. I'm very sorry.
It's okay.
But essentially, like the Keith Urban thing, right? It's almost like when they're on their come up, the music's better than when they're on their way down. But there's exceptions to that rule.
Yeah.
I like Dwight Yoakam's later era. I like George Jones's later era. Like he was better when he was older. who else? Alan Jackson has some really good late career albums that have come out.
I did like Alan Jackson. That was one of my favorites in the '90s. He did seem like he was making more authentic music. I mean, it's just something that you can feel. It's really hard to describe.
And sometimes, okay, so I have a funny story about, I was talking with this local guy before, like in the long ago, the before times, when Midland was just coming out. You heard of Midland?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like Midland's music. I like how they go about their production and everything. And I remember this guy was like, I don't know why you like these guys. They're just the same pop country thing as before. I'm like, I get that. I get they're part of the same system. However, they're playing a music that I enjoy. Like, I'm aware it's pop, but the musicality aspect of it is better than this hip-hop 808 snap stuff, which I don't resonate with. Right. And it's funny because some people listen to music for the wrong reasons completely. You shouldn't be listening to it just because it's underground. You should listen to it because it makes you feel something.
Yeah. So. Yeah, underground was just where I was at some point in time, you know, and I moved on from there. Like my mom is going to see George Strait, and you would not want to know how much she paid for tickets.
No, but I love George Strait.
To see George,
she didn't pay enough. She should buy double.
Oh my god, man. It was ridiculous.
How much was it? Like $4.50 a ticket? I don't even know.
In that price range, dude. In that price range.
I'll be honest. A $50 ticket for Greg Arcade is expensive, but there was other reasons that people bought it, so I get to get away with that from now on.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that show, because you're coming off of this really big, long.
Drive.
It wasn't. That's the thing. You
17 hours each way, plus the 2 in between to get to and from the venue.
Yeah, usually when guys do that, it's a whole tour, but this was one show. That's commitment.
Well, these guys that are in Pokey there, this was probably one of the most uplifting yet heartbreaking events I've ever had the honor and privilege of being a part of. I was originally approached by, I'm not going to use names for some people just because I don't know about the doxability. But one woman whose husband is in jail there, and she was like, I know this is a long shot, Greg, but would you think about coming to this show? It's a month away. And I'm like, let me think about this, because I haven't played a live concert for over 3 years. And I was just like, well, I can send a digital show, or I could do it for this. You know, these are my costs. If you can help me out with these costs, I could make it there. And I'm like, no way she's going to help me out with these costs, because it's a fundraiser. 2 seconds later, she's like, yep, done. And so I'm sitting there going, shit, I have to go do this now. which I'm very supportive of the event, but if you know me, like I've turned into a fairly private person. I don't socialize because anyone who was there this weekend understands why. I can't help being me. I guess I'll tell you a little bit more about that one in a bit. Like, it was all good and funny, but it's just like they don't let me out of the house for a reason. Like, I'm like a caveman. But anyway, so we start off. There's a lot of crazy road stories, like including almost hitting a deer minutes into the trip, almost flying right onto a roundabout because the highway was unmarked. That it ended in a certain spot, and like there's Sammy's in the ditch, a bald eagle, his face was covered in blood, eating something by the highway. Like, it was cool, and the people we met were awesome. But anyway, so we go there to do this show. There's these 4 guys who are in remand. They haven't even been processed to jail, which means they have less rights than a prisoner. For over 400 days, there's no hard evidence against them other than hearsay and fomented media narrative. And they're some of the sweetest guys I've ever talked to. I've had a chance to talk to a couple of them on the phone. And, like, I know that the Canadian government's up to shady stuff, and most people should be aware of that at this point. And seeing what these guys have to go through, it could be any one of us for simply saying, I don't want to succumb to your Stasi nonsense. Yeah. And that they're the ones who took those bullets for everybody, and people are almost forgetting them at points, and it bothers the hell out of me. And so anyway, we do this show. Where was I even telling? There's so much to tell. I guess I'll tell a couple things that happened. It's hard to recount it all. There's a lot of people who came. Some people drove 5 days to come to this concert.
Wow, man.
Some people flew in from all over Canada, some from U.S. People were coming in campers, trailers. Cops were crazy for people coming in. They were like carding everybody, trying to find out who's going where. There was federal agents in plain clothes on ground trying to like get information. That's how serious this stuff is up here, man. And like they got run off by some of the good old boys and stuff too. Like it's nonsensical. And anyway, so it's literally like some of the sweetest people you ever meet in your life. I didn't meet a single person who wasn't completely awesome. The Freedom Riders showed up, the ones who rode past the cop blockade to bring medicine and food to the people in Coots when it was blockaded. Adam Skelly of Adamson's Barbecue came out of retirement and made barbecue for everybody. The brisket I had was so good. It was the best brisket I've had in my life.
Oh, you're making me hungry for barbecue.
Oh man, you should have seen these things. And there was like 7 left at the end, and they did first come first serve, $100 a brisket. It was about a $200 brisket. So people were getting crazy deals. Sorry, I'm all over the place here. A couple bands played,
it's okay.
which were pretty cool. Lindsay Butler played. She's a lady who refused the vax and has a bunch of freedom songs. She was very cool. I got a chance to talk to her. Same with this band called Toxic, which is kind of like just like a insane rock and roll cover band. Like they did some Tragically Hip, but they also did like AC/DC. They ended with Megadeth, nice. And the guy didn't have his second guitar player with him. You wouldn't have noticed there wasn't another guitar player. And this guy nailed everything. And he's a super cool guy named Eric from Toxic. So that's a cool band to check out if you ever see them somewhere. Like I'd go pay to see them live. It was that good for a cover band.
Yeah.
And so we played. I made my own nudie style suit, which ended up being super fun. I just went to the store. I'm like, this will be funny, right? Funny for everyone else, not so much for me because I had to make the thing. It took me like 4 or 5 days. And so I just started sewing country things on it. So I started sewing like poppy flowers and cactuses. And then I'm like, well, I'll put a weed leaf on this because that's funny. So I put that on it, and then I'm like, hamburger, dog bone, and I have this sparkly red felt, so I'll put like mushrooms on it. That'll be funny. I look at the thing later, and I'm like, what happened with this 60s drug jacket? Because I have peyote, I have opium, I have mushrooms, I have weed, and a hamburger for when you're hungry later. And so it's just this big stupid suit. So the whole production's there. It's very fun. Fire pit outside, amazing people came in, and played some songs. I didn't have a monitor for my entire 2 sets until the last 2 songs. So I kind of blew my voice out a bit, but that's just the way it goes, right? I played one-man band style. That'll be the last time I ever do that in my life. So I played a drum set with my feet and guitar with my hands and sang. So I had a kick, a snare, and a hi-hat at my feet, and a tambourine taped to my kick drum. And then I was playing guitars. I did like a mix of, I started off playing more country stuff, a bunch of my own songs like Rally on Me and Go Down Swinging. But, I ended the night with like Sammy Hagar, heavy metal, and like Kickstart My Heart by The Crew, and just like a bunch of funny tunes all by myself because it's fun to do. And it was nuts. And then, when we drove there, it was about a 17-hour haul. I left at 5:45 in the morning. We got there at 9:30 at night. I slept 4 hours. I got up. Our hosts were amazing. John and Yvonne, honestly, the nicest people in the world. John's a wicked guy. Please go check out his music, jwmickle.com. You'll find it. It's kind of like biker rock.
Right on.
I'll have some. I can send you some stuff before it's out too, because I'm helping produce his EP. And then, so we slept 4 hours. We went to the event. We got it set up. We drove back. Miraculously, we didn't get stopped by the police on the way out because I think they all went for like a donut break at around 10:30 because that's when we were leaving the area. And we got out there, got back to John's place. I was so exhausted at this point. I poured like 1 glass of wine because I hadn't drank all day because I was like, cops are going to pull us over for sure. So poured 1 glass of wine. I had like 1 sip and I just went and laid down and then slept 4 hours, got up, and we drove, and I got home around midnight to my place after dropping everyone off around town here. And it was just, I haven't been able to sleep all that well since then, but it's starting to get more stable, which is good. But yeah, it was a crazy event. There was a lot of people there. I know they raised tens of thousands of dollars. I'm not quite sure, but it's a good amount, and that's going to help with legal fees, because even these lawyers that these guys had, some of them took the money and ran.
Man.
Yeah, and they're just trying to screw them over because some gov official comes over and says, yeah, just do this. You won't get in trouble for it. And they run away, and that's what it seems like, at least. That's alleged, obviously, right? It's alleged. I'm not saying anything is for sure. But those are just rumblings of which I've heard, which I'm just repeating now, which I did not create and I'm not liable for. Lawyer man. And another thing, too, like one of the guys, Jerry, he wrote me a letter from jail. I never thought I'd be a musician who got this. And he starts off with, I never thought I'd be writing someone famous like you. And I'm like, I'm not famous. Is he doing a really funny joke right now? But he wrote this
Internet
letter.
Celebrity is what we call ourselves.
I believe niche micro celebrity is what I would be. So he wrote me this letter, and it was like beautiful. I was like tearing up. Everyone who read their letters, because he wrote one for every band member, everyone was crying. I didn't cry. I'm a man, but but on the back there was some sweetgrass he had in there to burn for good luck. And what he had actually done is he had taken pieces of the bedding of his bed and cut them into like feathery looking things, and threads from his clothes, and a lid from a coffee cup, and he made me a dream catcher. He did that for everybody in the band.
Wow.
And it's hanging in my window right now. That thing's never coming down. And yeah, and like these guys, like I was telling you, they weren't giving the guy shoes. They weren't even giving another guy underwear. And it came down to one of the other guys pretty much sewing him underwear and sending it to him, because this prison system wouldn't do that.
Damn,
like it is literal torture what they're doing to these guys, and they're trying to pretend it's not that. They're terrorists because we said so. No, people who are working for the state-sponsored media and these federal police forces are actual terrorists who are terrorizing people who live here on the basis of nothing. And it's disgusting to see. Never thought I'd see it in my life.
Yeah,
but
we're just the most normal people ever, trying to live our lives, and these forces are getting in our way.
Yep, it is. And it's getting to that point, too, where it's just like, well, you're not going to leave us alone, are you?
Nope.
And I think there's, like, I'm a pretty calm, collected fellow. I'll tell you about the wild man stuff in a second. But, you know, my sentiments are not even matched by most of the people I meet these days who are very ready to do something. And it's getting scary. You don't want to live in a world like that. No. You don't want to live in a country like that. It's not healthy for anybody. That is hell on earth. But these people are bringing it on. They think it's going to be fine because they're the ones who are currently in power. But look at any overthrow. Look at like the story of Shizo and all that stuff, right? Like it doesn't end good for anybody.
Yeah, it's funny what people will do when they have a system behind them.
Yep. Okay, let me tell you some happy stories though. We're from Manitoba, and Manitoba's kind of like, everybody always jokes that it's like the worst province, right? So we're driving up to Alberta, and I just start putting on like what we're calling like the gentleman bumpkin voice, and all of us were doing it. So we're driving up, and it's like, oh, howdy, la-dee-da, why don't you look at that big old rock in the sky? What do you call that? Mountains? All right, college boy, and your $10 French words. I come from, that's a rock pile. And we start talking like this for a while, and it starts becoming part of our actual lexicon. So we're at the concert, and then this guy's standing there, and he's like, hey, man, like, I really like your music. I'm like, you really like my music, don't you, Hollywood? And one of the guys with me is like, what's that round your belt? He's like, oh, look, he don't even have his extension cord. And we're all just fucking giving it to these guys. And then nobody knows how to handle it, because it's like, what the hell? These guys from Manitoba are insane. They're calling everybody Hollywood. We were standing in this circle with a bunch of people from like the Diagolon community. And one guy was like, I forget exactly what he said, but he's like, and it's cool. You probably won't remember my name. And I'm like, I'll remember your name. You're Hollywood. You're Hollywood. You're Hollywood. I don't know. It was funny times, man. But I guess you had to be there to really get the effect, but that's why I can't go out of the house though too, because I pick fights instantly, even though they're hilarious. I'm not looking for violent fights. I'm just looking for charming jib jab, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes a punch. I don't know.
I've been one of those guys that I will piss people off and not even know it until I've walked away for a few minutes and they come after me. I'm like, hey buddy, what's going on?
See, but I like all these people, so I'm not actually trying to piss them off, right? But I've been that guy before too, like in the old days, in the long ago, where it's actually just like, what are you gonna do about it? You know, like college boy. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I usually just kind of try to lighten the mood. That's my defense, really. I tell people I don't start fights, I end them.
Yeah. I had one once. I was at some country awards thing, and then I got into it with this other band who were being dicks to me for a couple of years. And then there was like 4 of them, one of me. I was just like, why don't you go get 4 more people and come back here? You're going to need them.
Yeah.
You know? It was just by myself.
Yeah.
And I still won that altercation as well, so...
Well, I'm a scrawny guy, but people don't realize when they step up to a guy that's over 6 foot tall that the physics change.
It does. You know what? You can't discount anybody when you start throwing hands, because people will surprise you.
No, that's the thing. If people start like throwing hands, I'll just knock them down. Like, what are you gonna do? Because I've got such a reach on people.
Just you like gotta a string bean?
Yeah. I just gotta push their hands away.
La-dee-da, got ourselves a string bean here. Doesn't even eat rubber bands like the rest of us in Manitoba.
No, I just push them away until they get tired. It's funny as hell.
Oh man, sorry. I gotta break the gentleman bumpkin thing because it just turns into my full time if I don't. Give me a second here. Collected. No, I'm good now. That's fighting's stupid, especially when you get older.
Yeah, I got no time for it.
Yeah, when you're younger, it's kind of funny, but and that's a problem with me. I think everything's funny, but now that I'm older, I just think all the wrong things are funny.
Well, everything is funny because we're living in clown world, man.
It's
you see a commercial that's supposed to be like for normal people, and I just start laughing my head off. I'm like, look at these clowns, look at these idiots.
Yeah, and this is our commercial for you. But how is this going to help us sell beer? Beer?
Yeah.
You know, it's the meme. It's the meme realized. And I think that there's something to be said about when these people who attempt to control society get really mad at people memeing. Because they normally foment these ideas in people's heads and these narratives by pushing it through the media apparatus. Whereas when you get guys like buddies of mine who are putting out hilarious memes, well, that stuff's starting to come true too now.
Yeah.
So, English, the angelic language, the spellcasting language, it's real.
Yeah.
And our grasp of reality is not what we think it is.
No, it's definitely not what we've been told it is.
Exactly. We've been taught wrong. There's that. You ever watch that movie Kung Pao Enter the Fist?
Yeah.
Yeah. So where they're like, we taught him to fight wrong. It's like, I'm bleeding, so I won that one. You know, and that's kind of how I think a lot of reality is, where we think something's one way, but now everybody's like, okay, electroculture's real. Okay, Tatarian architecture's real. Okay, all these buildings used to have like power plugs on them, and we're just harnessing the electricity in the aether.
Sure.
And, like all of that stuff's coming to realization now. Like, oh, we've already blown ourselves up several times.
Yeah. It's like we're finding out that the Greeks actually had working computers.
It's in all the hieroglyphs. There's Nokia phones in the hieroglyphs, man.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah. It's
like a little dog head. I don't even know what Egyptian gods are called anymore. I forget. Set or something. And he's like holding up a Nokia 560. I hope he had a good plan.
Yeah, it's
the Egyptian plan.
Yeah, it's really
pyramids are just weird 5G towers.
I like the my favorite one is how people are looking at mountains now as they were giant trees. Because you think about the way that
some of
things,
them.
Yeah, because the way things fossilize, well, all it is organic matter becoming rock.
Well, it's more the mesas, like the mesa plateaus.
Yeah.
those are more likely to have been chopped down trees, whereas some mountains are even like giant silicone giants. Like you look at how they're laying there, and either they were carved to look like a giant lady lying down, or it's a giant lady who fell down and became petrified.
Yeah.
Well, and also like people who are like, these are conspiracies. All right, why did everybody build buildings 6 feet below the ground level? Because the mud flood was real. Like, but I don't even know if it was necessarily mud flood or some kind of like energy weapon melt. Because they're finding those buildings in the sides of mountains now. Have you seen that stuff when they're like excavating it and it's like perfectly formed buildings? They're like, oh yeah, they just carved these in there and then closed them in with rock later.
Yeah,
you guys are crazy for talking about this stuff. Nordic, how could you have this guy on your show? These are dangerous conspiracy theories. Dangerous
I think it's
people
fun.
who are trying to maintain a narrative, man. Sorry, I'm going.
Well, when the narrative breaks down and it doesn't make sense, you have to come up with something else. I'm not saying like things are a certain way, but we can at least talk about these things and have an open
that's
dialogue.
one of the things like Canadian ADL went after me for, right? I wasn't claiming anything. I literally referenced a video from YouTube. And they're like, oh, he referenced this. That's hateful. It's like, no, you guys are like, you are creating your own destruction, because the longer this goes on, the more people know that you're out of control.
Yeah, and that's the danger of like the memes coming back too. If a meme that was just a joke 5 years ago all of a sudden starts coming true, then they're looking back at your timeline and they think you're a terrorist.
Or even if it isn't true and it's just now something that's been deemed offensive that wasn't offensive at the time.
Yeah, in the lexicon.
Yeah, it comes down to anybody can get in trouble for anything, but we just selectively attack certain people who present a risk to the order, which is pretty much the unnatural order, which is trying to maintain itself.
Yeah, I've been saying that things are like both legal and illegal at the same time right now. It just depends on who you run into and where you are.
Everything's legal as long as you don't ask for the wrong kind of help, right? Because there's there's a lot of instances. I'm not condoning anybody watching this. I'm just saying, like people like, you can't, there's no self-defense in Canada. There's self-defense in Canada if you don't call the state to clean it up for you. And that's like, like I'm not condoning anything. I'm just saying we have to change the way we think about approaching scenarios if the apparatus is going to attack us for trying to do the right thing. There was this guy I was talking to at the show, and he was talking about someone had put down a deer improperly on his property. So he had called wildlife to come clean it up and explain to them, like, hey, I found this, whatever. And they took all his guns away, and they took his license and his truck away for doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So if they're going to do that kind of stuff, you have to stop doing what they want you to do. That just makes logical sense.
Yeah, there have been a lot of stories coming out. The first one that really struck me was there was a man up in Canada, I can't remember which province.
Saskatchewan, and those people came on his property and he shot them. Right? Is that the one?
That was probably it. And I think
wait, is this recent?
No, I think this is the one where he made the call, right? He called and said, hey, these people came onto my property and this is what happened, and he got in trouble for it?
He did. He beat those charges, but there's another guy, they came into his house with firearms, and they started, like, attacking his mother, and so this guy who's a legal firearm owner went and got a firearm and shot a guy who was, like, attacking his family with firearms, and he's now being charged with attempted murder.
Yeah, because he discharged and the other guy didn't, or something like that. It was
I
so
don't
weird.
know if the other guy didn't or not. In Canada, they're literally just trying to emasculate everybody. So it comes down to you can't use their system anymore. Yeah. They made it that way. It's not us who did it. I'm not condoning breaking the law, but also if the laws are unjust, then you shouldn't be subjected to them.
Right.
That's just common sense. That's just, I don't know, logos, God's law. These go against God's law.
Yeah,
that's
what it comes down to. We have,
and that is the highest law in the land. This country was founded on that stuff.
Yeah.
And if they're not going to respect that stuff, then they can expect the things that keep them safe, the rules that they like from it, to also disintegrate. Yeah. And that's a horrible scenario.
Yeah, well, one thing that was really magical about the U.S. Constitution is they put God's inalienable rights right up front and center. Here we go, 10 of them. You know, we can all agree on these that you can't take them away. And ever since, you know, at least the 50s here, that's been stripped away from us to where, oh, well, these things are just, you know, they're part of history. It's just a piece of paper. It's a living document. I'm like, no, that's not
Yeah.
what any of this was ever supposed to be.
Isn't it funny how that seems to be the timeline for all Western countries? Right after that big old war never ended.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like every 75 years, for some reason, things blow up. And
Hey, you know what? I think of it
civilization
like this,
has to scrap itself.
I think it's a little longer timeline because they have to let 3 or 4 generations pass and then kill off the older generations if they live too long, so that
Maybe.
we don't remember.
Maybe
Because-
that's the thing. If you bounce between hemispheres, though, like if you go back to like the Tataris were here not very long ago at all,
Yeah,
and their entire civilization is gone.
look at Mongols. Everybody has like a perception of Mongols being a certain way, but Mongols are mainly red hair with like bright green eyes.
Yeah,
And everyone thinks that they look more like this South Park depiction of Mongolians, right?
Yeah.
But they don't. And another thing too is like, you really want to blow your mind open. Figure out the Alaska Purchase. I thought every European civilization came from the east and moved west. Then why were there colonies of Russians in Alaska? Why did they predate a lot of the history they tell us? Oh, because everything's a big gay lie.
yeah,
And
yeah. It's one of those questions that the you know, the teacher in 5th grade would just kind of stare at me for. You know?
yeah, but you know, the Alaska Purchase is a very interesting rabbit hole to go down, and I've only really started scratching the surface, but none of it makes sense.
Yeah, a lot. I think a lot of the first human settlers that built civilization in North America were probably from Asia, and they were those big red-headed guys. And
Well-
in North American folklore, they talk about it. Like, yeah, we had these big red-headed guys that we had to fight off, and we trapped them in a cave.
Yeah, and you know what? Look at the New York area. There's all those Slavic statues down by the water,
Yeah.
and all these old ancient Slavic pagan style statues, and nobody talks about that.
Yeah, I could tell you a lot of weird stuff about things that go on along the lake. And there are like these giant mansions on islands, like out in the Great Lakes, that they're not even on the maps, right? They're just like sometimes they're marked as like cabins or like a hunting area or whatever.
Yeah.
But these are places where very, very powerful people meet. And they've got a lot of information that we do not have. I mean, I sit on top of what's called the Appalachian Plateau, like right on the top of it. And it's really weird how it's structured because there's like 4,000 miles of dirt, and then there's a little lake stretching like 25 miles long, like on top of it. And then just cuts off. It's like, well, why is this big, huge mound of dirt here? And what's under it? Because nothing else around it makes sense. Like something had to be here.
It's kind of like a big funny test, because all you have to do is actually like be willing to question it and just be like, something doesn't add up.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
but to the apparatus lovers, that is like the most egregious act, because that's the first stepping stone to realizing so much of these non-truths that they forced upon us. Right? All you have to start saying is like, okay, even if I do believe this, I'm just going to confirm it.
Yeah.
And even that's not allowed. And that's why you have all these people who blindly believe stuff and attack people for, conversations like this. What's wrong with a conversation like this?
Well, nothing.
There's nothing.
Other
But they're
than
trying
things-
to make things wrong with this.
Other than things are adding up for academia, and they have no answers. They have absolutely no
Yeah.
answers to our questions because we have Google Maps now, and we can take a look at things.
And it's
see
funny
what's
how
going
things
on.
change on there. But at
Yeah.
the same time, we keep finding things because there's so much that you can't keep hidden.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a whole museum in Sweden with tons of giant bones in them.
Yeah.
Giants don't exist. What about this museum? That's just an art piece. What? Come on. Oh man. I remember I was I went to World Youth Day in Toronto, where the Pope John Paul was visiting, and so all these churches were going, all the Catholic churches when I was young. I was like 12 or 13 at the time.
Yeah.
And no one else asks this question, but we're walking by one of these old Tartarian style buildings, like, and they're changing the numbers on it. Like, you know, the big V's and C's from the Roman numerals? They
Sure.
were changing them. And I asked the guy, I'm like, why wouldn't they put the same stuff up there? And he's like, oh, I don't know. We have to get going. Like, that's it. I'm like, this seems important. Like, they changed, and now that's gone. And there's very few people who remember what the original date on it was. And that happens everywhere. Like, of course they change the numbers on buildings all the time. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm going off on things, dude. But
No, that's fine. You know what? Let's get back into the music. I like getting to know you. I like getting to see where your head's at.
For sure.
And I want to check out this other record here, Rolling Thunder.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and tell me a little bit about that?
So, I guess the first song that would have been written on that was A Rider Approaches.
Okay.
And so that's like the instrumental kind of westerny song. And that was, I sat down, when was it? About a year before that record was released, maybe a little sooner. And I wrote eight or 10 songs all at once. And I showed my wife, she's like, this has insane flow. I think I only ended up using like 4 of those songs. But so there's that one, Into Among Us.
Okay.
And so Among Us was that first song that like all the communist newspapers got really mad at me for writing. Because essentially it's just saying like, hey, you're being surrounded by enemies you're not realizing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and someone has come to warn you about it, and they're going to hang the guy who came to warn you about it. Which is prophetically exactly what happened to me, and is exactly what's happening to a lot of Canadian streamers who are like, hey, look out. And they're like, whoa, how dare you try and save us from ourselves, right?
Yeah, it's happened throughout history.
Yeah,
That's how
and
things go.
I was aware it was going to happen. I'm like, I'm going to write this anyway because I know it's going to be about me. And a lot of the songs on that record were oddly, strangely prophetic. Not claiming to be a prophet, not claiming to be a false prophet. I'm just saying, coincidences happened. But anyway, so like I put that song out and they got all mad at me, which is super funny. And then I'm just going to pull up the song list here so I can see it too and kind of give you a quick rundown of stuff.
Sure.
Get out of here, iTunes. So there was that song. I love the production on that song, the guitar solo. I thought they were very fun. I was just really kind of coming into my own in producing music at this point. Like I was pretty good at it already, but there's one song on this record that was before all these other songs, and that's George Jones at the end. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then Outlaw Hearts hits, and that was another song that had a little bit of like propheticness to it, where it's like
I like that one a lot.
Thank you. It's essentially talking about like, am I like the last man standing? But I believe there's got to be more like me, and I'm aware that there's no one else coming to save us, but we do have each other. Like of that, so that's kind of what that song is. Come and Get It was another one too. That was another one that resonated huge within the Diagolon community, because I really did write it for them too, because it's like, look, there's these like nerds who are using government funding to attack people's character, and they're attacking people based on what they do for work. They're attacking people based on literally being white dudes, and there's going to be a certain point where people are not going to put up with that anymore.
Yeah.
And that song really kind of brings that out, where it's like, if you want war, you'll get it. We got what you want. Come and get it. Like that's like essentially what that song gets with. Then Accelerate, which is, it's funny because I view the enemy, the people who are trying to destroy our civilization society, as those who are really accelerating things.
Totally.
And Accelerate is more about celebrate when it accelerates, and they're trying to be like, he's part of an accelerationist militia. It's like, no, I'm literally clapping when you do things, because everything you do is making it worse for you in the long run. Like, you have all the media colluding. That's waking people up. Celebrate that. You are doing bad things that are destroying the lives that we want to have. And as much as that sucks, we have to celebrate that, because that's like a squeaky wheel gets fixed. So it has to break down before you fix the engine, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Absolutely.
kind of like what that idea is. And Hard Life was one I wrote quite a little while back, and I wanted to fill out the album and actually track a song. And that's, it's a hard life picking guitars at night. That's essentially the chorus. And it was just more a song about me, and it might have been one of those first songs where I just started really drawing from my own experience very strongly.
Okay. I'll tell you what. Let's stop.
Sorry.
There. No, let's stop there for a little bit of a music break.
Sure.
And we'll get, because there's 17 songs on this record. So I want to at least play a few off the first. I like to call it the first side, right?
Sure.
First side of the record. Definitely, I think Among Us, Outlaw Hearts, and Come and Get It.
Sure.
And then we'll be back in the green room.
That sounds good.
Look to the west at sunrise. Dawn breaks in the clouds at night. A silhouette approaches on the rising light. A rider from a distant land, carrying a warning in his hand. Has he come too late, or is he just in time? I bring you urgent words of warning. What nearly killed us comes again. While you are sleeping safe at night, enemies surround you and build their might. They live among you now, my friends. Expressions of confusion, anger and disbelief. The weight of this news is met with apathy. Many here do not believe him. Many here call for this man's blood. He will hang for the crime of simply speaking up. I bring you urgent words of warning. What nearly killed us comes again. While you are sleeping safe at night, enemies surround you and build their might. They live among you now, my friends. like someone done gone messed up. Gonna be blood, them boys came dressed up. Heard someone's running their mouth. I heard somebody's been spreading around rumors. Figured they'd have hushed up by now, but time's up, ain't no way out. They've been making plenty of noise, but they should have known better to mess around with them boys. You want more? You said it. We got what you want. Come and get it. You want blood? You said it. We got what you want. Come and get it. You're looking to fight. You said it. We got what you want. Come and get it. You want more? You said it. We got what you want. Come and get it. Gone too far, only one way back. These boys are here for payback, so pay up or you best well stay back. What you all think you did? Picking a fight with them roughnecks and rednecks? You asked me, you should have just left them all alone, but you didn't. You thought this was a game. Who the hell you think you are playing? You want war? You said it. We got what you want, come and get it. You want blood, you said it. We got what you want, come and get it. You're looking to fight, you said it. We got what you want, come and get it. You want more, you said it. We got what you want, come and get it. We got what you want, come and get it. Got what you want, come get it.
All right, fam. There it is. Some of my favorite tracks on that record we just heard.
Awesome. I'm happy to hear that, man.
Yeah, man. That Outlaw Heart song, it just really, really sticks into me. I don't know what it is.
That one's my favorite on the record, too.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's the right words. I don't know if that makes sense. It's
Sure.
the right temperament of a tune, and it kind of summed up my feelings at the time of pretty much putting this record together. But this record came together over quite some time. It wasn't all recorded in one session, right? Like this was, some of these songs were recorded during the convoy that was going on, and
Right
it
on.
would be like something would happen, and I'd be like, I have to have a song up the next day, because even if I don't have the largest audience in the world, the people who are listening, it means something to them. So
Yeah.
that's why I kept that going.
Yeah, if you keep going, then slowly you're building your audience out, man. That's how it works.
But you don't know my motif. I'm all about people unsubscribing. And remember to unsubscribe. That's my tagline. Yeah.
Funny.
But that's a good thing. That keeps all the real ones around.
Right
so.
on. So
Should we go
these
further?
these were recorded. What would you say? How long did it take to put that entire record together?
Now that I think about it, I could probably look up the file dates, but let me just let me. That was.
I'm just curious.
It was about a year and a half.
About a year and a half
A
of
year,
writing?
a year and a half until it was released.
Okay.
So, like the first tune was George Jones, which is further down the list here. But I put that one out. That was kind of like when things were starting to go all haywire. And I just started recording at home, and I still had a band at the time. And I'm like, you know what? Like, every time I ask these guys to play something, it takes them like a week. And it sucks. And I have to replay it. So I'm just not going to ask. I'm just going to start playing my own tunes. And so I did that. And I guess Shoot Out the Lights would have been an early one too, but I completely remixed that song from what it was, because that was another one that, you know, I had other guys playing on. I just ripped their parts out and redid them myself because it just wasn't good before. And the production wasn't there because I was doing it ways other people wanted me to. And until I shut that all down and started doing it my own way, it just wasn't the sound I wanted. And same with that song, You, that was written longer before, but I completely redid that one. I didn't just remix it, I completely redid it. It used to be called Lost Highway, but that didn't make sense because it was more like a love song that I wrote to my future wife at the time. So,
very
so
cool.
I guess if we count the earlier stuff, then it would have been upwards of 2.5 years of this record coming together.
Oh, wow.
But the bulk of it came together within kind of a 7-month period.
All right.
So, yeah, should I go back and kind of tell the stories of these tunes?
Well, yeah, I was just going to ask real quick. Now, do you have these pressed and ready to go, like at shows?
Oh, I don't play shows anymore, man.
Fair enough. Well, you did.
I did, yeah. I did do a whole run of CDs for these. I can do a lot of stuff, but doing mailers is difficult for me. So I'm trying to actually remedy that right now, just with new stuff, and I'll probably run a new set of Rolling Thunders, because they turned out pretty good, and a lot of people have been asking for new ones. So probably do that eventually. Just the old classic CD and the digipack.
Yeah.
Because that's my favorite. So I don't have them right now, but if you do go to gregarcade.com and buy it digitally, it, like, once you buy it, it redirects you to a download page right away. And someone is trying to help me with learning how to use Stripe so I can send receipts to people so they have backups of all their downloads.
Oh,
I'm going to get there, folks. Don't worry. A lot of that stuff I had to learn just doing my own anyway, because, you know, no one else is going to do it for me. And, you know, I'm not going to have a web guy because he's probably going to take my site down as soon as someone puts a mean article about me. So I just learned to do my own web.
Yeah, I got into it kind of like in the middle where everybody was going through what used to be a press kit was an entire folder that you would send.
Yeah.
It was basically your portfolio, you know, and you would send
Yeah,
that
I used
into
to do
people.
those too, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
you do like, you have the couple press photos of 10x8 black and white, and you have like it had like everything in there. But
Yeah, now it's just an EPK. The people, you know, just unzip it and they can see everything that you're doing right there.
you know what I do for clients who I do because I do websites for clients now, is I build an EPK right off their website, so they don't even have to unzip it, because sometimes that can be the difference between getting a show and not. But if you send somebody a link that they go to and it's essentially already open on the website, it's way more polished in the sense of like people have no attention span and don't want to put in any effort.
Less clicks the better, especially now when people are just watching 30-second videos for like hours on end.
Yeah, so you throw that up on your EPK with a couple photos, it looks crisp, and a pre-written bio, so they don't even have to do that. You know, and that helps get it in the hands of, if you're still trying to play shows, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Doing things on your own, it's a different animal. Not everyone can do it. I was in situations in studio where we would just do, like, you know, we didn't have a guitarist available, you know, until the next day, so we'd just do a scratch track, which means we were just going to throw it away. But he would just, you know, just kind of play along to the song for the drummer to know where we were with the rhythm and everything like that. And then you just ditch it. The guitarist would come in and everything was good. But waiting for people when you're ready to go is probably like the hardest thing to do.
Oh yeah. Well, a funny story about this Rolling Thunder album. So I scratch out tracks for my tracks too.
Yeah.
On this album, I would scratch out electric guitar rhythm tracks just because it's easy. And I don't think I threw a single scratch track away on this. I was just like, that sounds good. Why would I throw that away? I'll just keep it. Yeah, so I think every single song has a scratch track in it that made the record, which is kind of fun.
That is fun.
There's lots of little weird things on my records, little lore that kind of piles up over time, and it comes down to me remembering it too. But okay, let's go down this list real quick.
Yeah, where did we leave off? We're on Hard Life.
Yeah, so Rolling Thunder. I was putting out this record called Rolling Thunder because it's just a name that came to me, and two days before I was sending it to print, and I had almost everything mastered, I'm like, I feel really stupid putting out a record without a title track on it. And I'm just going to write Rolling Thunder. So I just wrote this song, kind of whipped it off the top of my head. And it's kind of like a hard rock tune in many ways. And a lot of people said it was their favorite one on the record. So there's that. And then there's Rebel Death Ride, which is kind of like an instrumental. A lot of people are saying it's metal. I don't view it as metal. I view it as like biker rock. Kind of. Sure. So it's like it's a heavy tune that I recorded very loud one day when I was angry.
It's all rock and roll to me, man. That's what Lemmy used to say. We don't play hard rock, heavy metal. We just play rock and roll.
Totally. That's how I feel about it too. I think genre classification is so silly in many ways because it's like it can help you find stuff, but that was more in the record store days when you were like, I'm really into punk and I want punk music. But even then, you'd buy something and you're like, this is garbage and not what I was looking for. So you kind of just, if you don't classify yourself by genre, it allows you to do whatever. And that was a fun thing with this record too. Half of it's pretty much hard rockin', and the other half's kind of like alt country, I guess, or like.
Sure.
Yeah. So there's that. Shoot Out the Lights. That was that one I was talking about a little earlier. Recorded earlier and redone. It was a song I was driving home from a tap room gig I used to do. Like tap room's like just like a beer hall, and I was just driving. I'm like, bang bang, shoot out the lights, and so I had this idea in my head. And when I'm recording the song, I didn't have everything written yet. I was just kind of laying it out how I would lay out a rough song, and someone was knocking on the front door. And my dog Jake was barking. So there's a line in the song, you got the dog, or the front door's knocking, you got the dogs barking. That was from that. So at the end of the song, when you listen to it, you can hear Jake on one of the drum mics. So I boosted it really loud and you can hear him barking a bit. So I left that in there, so that's kind of fun. When the Dust Dies Down, this is the second version of the way that song was recorded. There was another version that was more like Come and Get It originally. But I threw that one out because it didn't feel right. And When the Dust Dies Down was a song I wrote about kind of... I thought I was aging out of playing music. And I didn't even realize I was pretty much aging into playing this genre of music. So I was like, oh, I'm not a young guy anymore. I'm not playing those like fancy shows. Meanwhile, after I wrote this song, I ended up playing with like Lone Star and bands like that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's that kind of song about aging and playing music. It's when the dust dies down, you'll still be kicking up dirt, and if you're hanging around, somebody's going to get hurt. That's like talking about you. If you're sticking around, it's not going to get easier, right?
Sure.
And that's kind of the story of playing music. And then You is a love song I wrote, the one originally called Lost Highway. I wrote that for my wife because I love her.
Gay.
Yeah, super gay, hey? Nothing gayer than getting married to a woman. But anyway, yeah, it was a song. I put that one out on New Year's before this album came out, and it got a lot of people kind of tearing up. So that made me feel good, though, because that one's actually in 432 hertz. That was my first experiment playing with different frequency tunings.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it has a bit of a easing vibe, but at the same time, I still would say my production style wasn't perfect to what it is now. Like, I really like how I produce now because I don't care as much, and I find the final products are better. And You has little things about it that bother me in the frequency range, but I hope that doesn't bother anyone else. And then Idaho, this is a song that made a few waves. There's actually another version of this song on my YouTube for a Bluegrass Tapes record I'm making. So there's like a bluegrassy version of this.
Oh, right.
But This is more of like a rock, almost like a soul rock version. I don't, because I'm kind of more singing at the top of my lungs here. It was a lot of people were talking about skipping out of Canada, and I had this riff, and I was like, man, that's how I'm feeling too right now. And it's funny because I know a few of my buddies 86'd out to Idaho, but this song actually brought a bunch of people from Idaho started listening to my music because they're like, this is like our theme song. This is way better than that other one that came out. And there's apparently some pop country Idaho song that came out, but it's just kind of like, I'm tired of this freak show. Get me down to Idaho. That's kind of the chorus in that one. There's a funny video on my YouTube with just a lot of memes in it that I made. If you're feeling like a meme video, there's one. And then George Jones. So this is the first one when I started producing bigger and better. And I don't know if you know, what's his name? Dale Watson. You ever heard of Dale Watson?
Not familiar.
So he's like a country singer from Texas. I paid him on Cameo to endorse the album with this song. Check out George Jones by Greg Arcade. I'm like, for sure he'll say that. He likes George Jones. And I thought that was funny because I had no idea Cameo was an app. You know what that is?
Yes.
Yeah, you just get like mainly washed up people to come and like make a few bucks off of you getting them to say things. And so when I realized this, I'm like, oh my gosh, like the power of marketing that people have at their fingertips that nobody use. Like you can get endorsements from people just by sending them $20. That's pretty funny. I Can See was a very interesting song. That song came out the day after the cops beat up all the protesters in Ottawa during the convoy. And that's what I wrote it about. Everyone was hurting. Like when that stuff happened, everyone was pissed off. Everyone was feeling defeated.
Yeah, and I was watching it live when they just like
too, man.
Yeah, pushed the horses through people.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they still don't know where that one guy is, because they trampled the old lady with the walker and that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody's heard from that guy. That everyone speculates that he got killed that night. So at least that's what I hear. Like I'm not in on the loop, but I haven't heard of a single person who's rebuked that. Yeah, crazy. But anyway, so that's a pretty feel good song because it's like I can see the lies, and then it turns into I can see the light. So it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know. It's a good course. It's a bit of a sing along. Yeah, what a crazy year. This is bringing back memories. Holy, I guess there's only a couple more here. Clearwater. Oh, sorry. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say this has been a good interview, man.
Thanks, man. I'm having a great time. We should do it again sometime.
Totally.
Clearwater was a song that I wrote about myself and my own experiences. It used to be called Cherokee Hills. And then when I actually looked up on a map where Clearwater was, it was like not there because the map that was presented before was some like I didn't swear. Almost swore.
You're fine. You can, as long as you don't say
I'm
anything
trying,
that's going to get us shut down.
I'm trying not to. I'm just trying to profane less anyway, but
I understand.
I looked on the map, and the map that someone had shown me when I was writing these words was completely wrong. And so I just changed it to the name of the town where the stories mainly came from anyway. And so it's pretty much a song about kind of like giving up and casting yourself to the wind a bit. And I lost my way in the cold dark night with no way to get home. So I stopped right there, found me some thrills, like drowning in whiskey, popping all sorts of pills. Like that's that course. And it's kind of like I think that was the second last song I recorded when recording this album, because that was an older song of mine that I had written years and years ago but never tracked. And a lot of people had asked me to track it in its original form too, and I was like, no way. But it's I like the production on it. It's got more of that kind of like modern alt country sound on it, and that kind of helped me find my way to my current sound as well too. And then Bury Me With My Boots On, that was a song, another Convoy song. There's a video for it that's pretty patriotic. If you go check it out on my YouTube. When I die, when I'm gone, bury me with my boots on, play my favorite country song, burn that fire till the wood's all gone. That's the chorus in that one. And that's another one I wrote 2015. I was just singing it in my head when I was driving home from a gig, but I never actually sat down and wrote the song until the convoy was happening. And then Bolt or Rollin' Thunder, that was just mainly a guitar riff I've had of a song I've never finished before. But I felt like it was fitting for an album called Rolling Thunder. Bolt or Rolling Thunder, I wrote in on a storm. I hung around while the air was warm. Now the days are growing colder. I wish that... Well, days are growing colder. I know it's going to storm. So I'll make a bang and you won't hear me no more till you hear me riding in on the next storm. So I thought that was kind of like a fitting last song. A lot of people thought I was like gone after I put that one out though, but like, yeah, that was that, and that's that record. And a lot of people really dug this record and supported me by picking it up. So I'm very thankful and appreciative of them for that. So
Right on, man. Well, I wish you all the success with it. It sounds great.
Thanks, man.
And hopefully this will help get your name out to a few people, and
Hopefully,
they can
yeah,
send
if people,
their
if they
support
want to
your way.
support gregarcade.com, that's the best place. Like, I'd try and stay off social media for the most part. Like, Telegram's pretty fun, but I also am a human and I shitpost quite a bit. So, like, sometimes people get mad and it's like, look, this is my opinion, man. And, like, if it pisses you off, it's probably because
Yeah.
I'm pissed off. You know, so...
Yeah, 95% of like my Twitter is just satire and just goofiness. So
yeah.
it's like whatever. This is just how I have fun, and
Yeah.
you know it's unbelievable what you can do with an actual Twitter account once Elon unbans like millions of people.
Well,
like,
when
all
he
at
let all
once.
the frogs back on.
Yes, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. I'm a friend to frog. That's one thing I want to put in my bio. I gotta remember that.
Awesome, man.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
we appreciate you. We've been fighting the meme war for a long time, and we're not gonna quit fighting.
Heck yes, my brother. Heck yes. Well, you guys got your country of Kekistan.
Yes,
And
sir.
Canada's got our shitpost country of Diagolon, which actually got mentioned in the parliament. How can these people even take themselves seriously?
They,
Like-
they, they can't. They're just walking NPCs, dude. That's all I can say about it. They
are,
just
man.
get their lines and they read them and they don't know how to rebuff anything. I mean,
It's so funny. Like, I remember when they're like, it's a white ethno-state country. And, like, the first guy who posted laughing about that was a guy named Black Guy Bigot. And it's just funny, like, how, like, they just say whatever they want to try and, like, attack and and go after people. And at the end of the day, it's like, guys, we started this to make a joke about you.
yeah.
And it's working. So,
That's the thing. Their job is to just take down any dissent whatsoever, and they're getting paid very well for it. So why would they stop?
but what is fiat currency if not a tool to hollow out someone's soul? Right? Because who's having more fun, them or us?
Oh, I'm having a lot of fun, man.
Me too, man. Yeah, man. Well, I guess we're getting to that time.
Yeah, we're gonna play a couple more tracks off of this record here, and then we will come back and kind of close things up. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay, so I wanted to play Rolling Thunder, of course, because it was the title track. And if you want to give a couple others that we can play.
Sure. What are you in the mood for? Rock and rolly or country-ish?
Oh, it doesn't matter to me, man. You
I
asked
would
me in
say-
5 minutes and I changed my mind.
I would say do Rolling Thunder, do Clearwater,
Sure.
and then do you want to pick more than that, or is too good?
Do another one. We got the time.
Okay. You'll pick either Idaho or George Jones.
Okay, I'm gonna pick George Jones then.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so Rolling Thunder, George Jones, Clearwater. Hey, let's keep it in the green room with Greg Arcade. Don't forget to share that link out to everyone. We are still live, and do not forget that you can support me either through that Cash App at Green Room Radio or right here on Odyssey where you are listening with the $sign. Let's keep it in the green room.
to tax the lines up. Houses crumbling down around you and the signs up. For sale, dead, broke, that's how this winds up. How do you knock me down? Rolling thunder coming at you like a freight train. You got the storm at pass, well here it comes again. Rolling thunder ringing through your brain like a bad dream. You can't control the storm, here it comes again. Rolling thunder. Standing here in my bedroom, twiddling my fingers all night long. Getting real sick of the same routine. Seems like everybody's singing the same damn songs over and over like a fever dream. Ain't nothing they say turns me on. Turn this off and I take it back to the time when the music would rock. I'm drinking that George Jones, chase it down with the wine and song. Burn a little Willie Nelson all night long. Putting on, waiting on. Gonna get all jacked up, pour a little whiskey in my Dixie cup. Grab more records and serve them up, 'cause tonight I'm breaking out the good stuff. Now the irony getting lost on me, sitting here singing about the past. Used to be, I tried to see how we can make this new sound last. But the lessons that the old boys taught to me at 33 on old black wax. You don't get what somebody thinks, so please just make something that kicks ass. I'm drinking that George Jones, chase it down with the wine and song. Burn a little Willie Nelson all night long. Waiting on, waiting on. Gonna get all jacked up, pour a little Willie in my Dixie cup. Grab more records and serve them up, 'cause tonight I'm breaking out the good stuff. Living in the past ain't gonna make a home, but forgetting old lessons won't help you grow. Gotta take some time, find it on your own. So when the devil come tell you you got a good sound, but I think it can help you get around, well you take that silver, throw it on the ground. You should have heard better by now. I'm drinking that George Jones, chase it down with the wine and song. Burn a little Willie Nelson all night long. Waiting on, waiting on. Gonna get all jacked up, pour a little Willie in my Dixie cup. Grab more records and serve them up, 'cause tonight I'm breaking out the good stuff. Gonna get all jacked up, pour a little whiskey in my Dixie cup. Grab more records and serve them up, 'cause tonight I'm breaking out the good stuff.
was absolutely fantastic. I am back in the green room with my new best friend, Greg Arcade.
Best friends. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
We're getting to
pressure
know
on.
each other pretty well here. It seems like we've been through a lot of the same situations in life and have the same sort of outlook on music and the way things are going. And it's been really good sitting down and talking with you, man.
Yeah, man. You too. I've had a great time. We should do a song sometime.
We should. Now think about I tell you what, the first time I heard oh god, what was it? Homegrown. I swear, 3 songs into your EP, I have an acoustic bass that I have sitting here, and that's what I write on, actually. And it works. And I started just kind of playing my own bass line to it. I was like, yeah, man, I can get down with this. Hell yeah.
Nice.
So,
do it.
hey, yeah, if you ever need a rhythm section.
I might, man.
Yeah,
I don't know if
my
we
hat.
get more of these shows coming up. Like a lot of people have been asking if like you could do more. I'm like, I can't one man band it, so I don't have that kind of energy. So,
Hey, if we
yeah,
can
you
make
get
it
there,
happen,
man.
we'll make it happen, man.
Yeah, man. I'm into it. I might have a wrestling match coming up. I have to be. I challenged someone on the internet to a wrestling match, so I might have to deal with that soon.
That sounds pretty cool. What a hell of a
don't-
gig.
I don't know. I have like a hurt back right now, too. I'm just thinking about how old I am. Oh, and the times are living in my lawn. Sorry. I'm a grumpy old man right now. 3
Yeah.
hours past my bedtime.
Well, one thing I noticed, were there female vocals on
Yep,
one of those
that's my
songs?
wife.
That was your wife. That's who I
Yep.
was going to ask about. I notice everything when it comes to listening to songs. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have
I'll
to
send you
ask.
some of her music.
Yeah.
Her stuff is really good. And she's sitting on a record right now that's really good. She didn't put out just because, like, everything went to pot, right? So she was just
Yeah.
kind of, like, done with it just in the same way I was. But it's a really good record, and I'm pushing her to maybe work on it over the next few weeks, and maybe we'll get it done and be able to get it out for her there.
Well, yeah, let me know, man. And
Yeah.
I'd love to have her on also to talk about it once it finally gets
Cool.
finished.
I'll let her know that. Yeah. I'll send you a couple of the tunes, I guess, after the stream so you can check them out.
Okay.
I'll have to dig them up. Yeah.
Sounds like a game plan, man. Hey, is there anything else you want to tell the good people listening before we start wrapping things up?
You know what? I've had a great time. I want to say thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks for having me on Nordic Frost. You have a great show, man. I hope
Thank you.
lots of people come out and support it. Are you still on D Live too?
No, we went through this thing with D Live.
Everybody went through a thing with D Live. It's
Yeah.
cool. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I could go live there again, but I'm just not messing with them. They did us so dirty that
Yeah, that's the
I just
same
don't want
thing.
to.
With like everything, people are like asking me to put music back on Spotify and things like that. I'm like, no, like we will be the new world.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm not Brad Skitsmith here, even though I like that guy. He's like always like, we have to build a parallel, and that's why I'm #1 on Amazon. It's like it doesn't compute for me, man. It doesn't compute.
No, not at all. And I've had my problems with Spotify ever since it began. People showed it to me, and I remember sitting there in my loft and being like, "This is going to put me out of business."
Why would anyone want to have their music on a service where you have to get like 4 million plays a month, get like not even a living wage,
Yeah.
versus like if you just sell it from your website? You know, someone will come and give you $5 for a song sometimes, and you get a few hundred people doing that.
Certainly.
You're golden. I actually have an article I wrote about this. Hold on, I have a little magazine that's fallen by the wayside here, but wildrootsmagazine.com.
Right on.
And there's a couple articles on there. I'll send it your way so you can check it out too. It's pretty much just me bitching about the internet, but
Yeah, but as soon as I
aren't
saw
most
that,
magazines.
yeah, people just, and they complain about it too. It comes to the end of the year, and they're like, "Oh, I don't like any of the songs I listened to in Spotify last year." Like, my brother, you were the one who created the playlist. I'm like,
Think
of
about
course,
how
yeah, of course you
Well, I was
don't
just gonna
like
say
it.
how artists shot themselves in the foot because now instead of creating a piece of content, I think we talked about this earlier. They're like, we created a pre-save page for you. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to pre-save your music to get an email later. Send them a song so they can listen to it now.
Yeah.
You know, like that's it's just so convoluted how they've convinced people to market themselves by like not marketing themselves. And at the end of the day, you send someone a pre-save page, They're going to start listening to Spotify, and they'll listen to anything but yours because yours isn't out yet. So,
unfortunately, that's the way that it goes. And I saw the writing on the wall as soon as I saw that site. I'm like, this is not good. This is not good for us. You know,
but you know what? It is good for us, and I'll tell you why, my friend.
Go ahead.
Because if you do it your own system where people can come to your own site and support you directly, it's establishing you as a small business, and it's putting you in control of your own money. And there's all these people out there who don't want to support this like woke nonsense that Spotify is participating in. So they'll go head over heels to support you because you're making content that speaks to their sensibilities and morality.
Sure.
And it's almost like a blessing. Like everything that bad that seems to have happened has become a blessing. You know, like the op. I don't know what words I can say because I don't know exactly where you're streaming, so I don't want to get your channel pulled for saying a bad word. But
You're
like
fine.
the medical op that happened, right?
Yeah.
So that was a blessing. As much as it was awful, like in that time, I quit smoking, I quit boozing, I quit associating with terrible people. I got married, I got my stuff together, I'm learning a trade, I've got a business that's growing. All of that wouldn't have happened had this not all happened, right? Same with like them writing a mean article about me. Well, that just sucked the poison out of my life. That was a blessing for me. Everyone who stuck around and the new people who entered are awesome because they see through this nonsense.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's the same thing with like Spotify. It's like if Spotify was easy and made us a bunch of money, that would have not been a blessing. But instead, I was forced to have to put out like 3 records a year plus like an unlimited amount of podcasts and cover songs. And that's actually just good for my audience because they have content now.
Sure.
But if Spotify was making money off of me putting out like a couple songs a year, that dog wouldn't hunt, you know? Like it wouldn't be good for me in the long term. So it's all a blessing at the end of the day. And because of everything that's happened, we've met. And there's a blessing too. So you have to be thankful for those things. Yeah.
Hell yeah. You know, it it reminds me of back in my early years. The thing is, whenever you're a dissident, the NPCs are going to listen to whatever narrative is coming out screaming that at you. So I started out as what people would call a Satanist, right? because I rode a skateboard and I listened to heavy metal music. So he's one of those guys, you know. And at the tail end of it, I remember I rented a theater for a really big show. We ended up having somewhere between 300 and 400 people packed into this venue. And I had a stipulation that I had to sign at the last minute, promising that I was not going to perform any satanic rituals on stage. And
Isn't it funny how things change?
Exactly. You could just input that with anything. I won't be, doing any, white supremacy rants on stage or whatever it is that they're trying to say is what the narrative becomes. And we're all the same. We're all just people just living our lives. And
it is like the dissident creative underground versus like the normal.
Yeah.
I love calling people normals.
Yeah.
Because it's just like it helps me just be like, that's what they are. But
that's
but
what
now
helped me
if
realize
you're not out there praising Satan and doing all that, then they're less likely to have you there. No Christianity on stage these days. That's like the new thing, right?
It's wild, right? Well, that just
wild.
makes me want to sing psalms.
Yeah, exactly.
That's going to push me in a different direction. I'm like, okay.
And it's because it's the type of person you are, and it's the type of people we are. Because at the end of the day, a creative isn't somebody who even really takes a stand with their art. They present an art, and it's the way that the audience consumes that art which actually shows the audience something about themselves, right? So if you put out like a compelling piece of artwork that pushes boundaries and the audience stands there and they are like, that's racist, well, it's actually the audience that has connotations in it that create this racist imagery in their mind. They're the ones who are guilty of the hate that they claim the art has created, whereas the art is simply placed there to compel the person to consume it. But everyone's like a retarded communist now, so like they can't figure that out. That's too hard for them. It has to be perfect in their worldview. And it just, I don't know, it blows my mind that we're at this place, but at the same time, we're blessed.
Yeah.
We're blessed to have the opportunity to create something important and world changing, because we wouldn't have that opportunity if things were like sweet like the 90s. Everybody's eating like Pizza Hut and chugging 2-liter Pepsis. You know, like it was an awesome time. WWF was unreal. Neon, everything was cool. But we're in a tumultuous time, and that allows us beautiful opportunity to create and to show the pawns on the chessboard which way to move based on their own feelings.
Yeah, people tell me to be careful. I'm like, no, I don't want to be careful. I want to be careless.
But in a way, you're not being careless at all,
yeah.
because...
Or carefree, maybe.
Yes, it's careless to do what's expected of you and to not step outside the boundaries.
Sure.
All that is for is like, that's a recipe for a rotten soul. See, a beautiful soul is going to thrive through being free of care of what others want. Not, I wouldn't say carefree in the sense that you just are whimsical. I'd say more in the sense of like, I don't care what you say. I'm going to do what I'm called to do. And that's what's important.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm getting at.
Totally.
Real.
Yeah.
For real, man. Okay, well, you know what? It's about that time. I think I'm going to thank everyone in the chat for showing up and donating. They got us $16 in the till, which is going to help the channel out. I appreciate you guys. If you would like to support Greg Arcade, go ahead and hit him up.
GregArcade.com. Easiest way. Direct to the source.
There you go.
Yeah,
well,
buddy.
I will have to get in touch with you again sometime soon.
Yeah,
so
man,
we
you
can
got
talk
me on.
again.
You got me on TG, brother. You can send me a message whenever you want. Sometimes it'll take me a couple days to get back, but like most times it doesn't.
Sure, that's fine. Yeah, it'll be days sometimes before I even go back to the computer if I've been doing something for a long time.
Yeah.
I have to take a time out. I really do.
I'm still in like recovery mode from this show last weekend. So
I believe it.
As much as I just want, like, I'm bored, but I also, the more I push myself, the more I'm like, oh man, I might give myself a migraine and my back hurts. So it sucks getting old.
Right. Well, I have one last song that I want to play us out with. I found that copy of Keep Your Rifle by Your Side.
Which one? Did you find the band or the acoustic?
There's the one with the fife and the orchestra, and then there's the
that's
other
the
one.
third version.
I guess there's a few different versions. Whichever one you want me to play. There's the one with the white cover.
Yeah, the
just
white
has
and
your
black
name.
cover has a full band, and then there's one that has the Rounds of 6.5 Creedmoor that says like GA. That's the acoustic one where I shoot the award. So it's either one's good, but the one with the band's a little more upbeat.
Yeah, we'll go with the full band one.
All right.
Since we had a nice mellow tune in the last segment.
Good.
And that'll be it. I will shut it down. And
Sweet, man.
We'll call it a show.
Thank you so much. You want me to hang around in the green room, or should I just get to bed because it's late?
You can hang around in the chat, and we'll talk for a minute and getting things squared away after after I hit the stop stream button. How's that sound, buddy?
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me, Nordic Frost.
Yeah, again, this has been Nordic Frost versus Greg Arcade, and I think we came out both on top.
Absolutely.
So let's keep it in the green room.
Scream and they can and shout. They can never smoke us out. Keep your rifle by your side. Singing, oh Lord, this earth was made for us. Singing, oh Lord, this sinful life just ain't enough. When we hear the voice, we know we have no other choice. Keep your rifle by your side. Preach their hate, but they won't get past the gate. Keep your rifle by your side, singing.